Welcome to Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. And this week, it's the third Dirty Disney Dozen! Cue the music! Do you want to try that again? It's tradition here on Podcapers that we go through every year. Haven't heard of it? Read the papers, because Scotty's going crazy. He's going to destroy Disney. It's tradition here on Podcapers. Let's explore a new frontier. Direct to DVD, no hopers, and Scott's your new compare. They're all just so lazy and shoddy. The animation is cheap and shitty, appeals to absolutely nobody. They're gonna regret it, I guarantee. It's tradition here on Podcapers that I go off on a rant. Yet in the past I've done somewhat purrs, big as Coruscant.
Scott's going crazy, it's gonna be full of fucking hyperbole.
I'm going fucking crazy and you're gonna see just how mad I am. You think the live action remakes were bad? Buying every single company that they could. Well, they are, but these films are just as sad. It's crap without the budget. They're an awful tragedy.
It's a tradition here on Podcapers, and we don't know what's in store.
I'll need a hand, my little helpers. Better pay attention, or there'll be some tension.
It's tradition here on Podcapers that I listen to and whine. They're just films for little wee nippers. I'm sure they'll all be fine.
And now the episode begins at last. With Scott, Mark and Alex ready to get started.
Why is Scott always an iconoclast? It's getting so scary.
And I'm starting to see red.
It's tradition here on Podcapers, and we're fearing for our lives. I guess we could be good troopers. Oh, the hell of all that. I'm breaking out in hives.
It's a tradition here on Podcapers, and I don't know how it'll go. Scott and Mark aren't happy campers. Maybe from quiet, I won't be in the riot.
I picked the worst of the Disney canon. 13 worst films you will never ever find. You'd have a better time with a dragon. It really puts you in a bad frame of mind. It's tradition here on Podcapers, but it just makes me mad. They're all so awful. Crap vipers!
Easy, Granddad.
It's tradition here on Podcapers, and it's making me depressed. I'm so tired of the thumpers. Pans and Simbas aren't quite the best.
It's tradition here on Podcapers. God stops having such a sulk. The past dozens have been showstoppers. We're acting like the bloody Hulk.
When will they stop making these bad movies?
When will you stop complaining about them? And what's the deal with all the fairies?
Oh, for God's sakes, guys, this is getting really dumb.
It's tradition here on Podcapers, and now I'm fucking ready. Screw all those Disney worshippers! I am crazy in the heady!
Scott's going crazy and it's gonna be full of fucking hyperbole.
He'll be back for breakfast,
so
smoke some
kippers.
kippers.
He's going fucking crazy.
He's going fucking crazy.
He's going fucking crazy.
He's going fucking crazy.
He's still going fucking
Is
crazy.
it too late to
I'm
quit?
going fucking crazy!
He's going fucking crazy. It's tradition on
I
Podcapers.
just hate Disney! Direct to DVD! Don't you dare fuck with me!
It's tradition on Podcapers.
Hello there, capers, and welcome to the third Scott's Dirty Disney Dozen! For the past 2 years, I have eviscerated the very worst that Disney has to offer. But it's not enough. It's not enough! Because you see, Disney chose to affect the home media market as well with their utter dreck. And yes, there are a few movies out there that are okay. They're not good, but they're okay. You won't find them on this list. No. This is the very worst that Disney has to offer. And of course, misery loves company. So I am joined, capers, by my friend, my cohort, and the Disney apologist, Mark Russell.
What do you mean apologist?
Because you constantly apologise for Disney and I'm constantly trying to make you feel like they're inferior. But you never listen! You never listen! And we are also joined by the DC apologist, the editor of Pod Capers. Give it up, Capers, for Alex Mirabal!
Hi!
Yay!
Alex, you have no idea what you're in for. You have no idea. Because, I mean, when we were kids, we all watched some of these movies because our parents decided, you know what, I need a break. I need a fucking break. Watch something. I don't care what. So they plonked us in front of the TV and made us watch all of this shit. Mark, I'm assuming you've seen, like, all the direct-to-Disney DVD stuff.
Not all of them. Most of them, but not all of them, which is probably a good thing.
And apparently, according to you, Alex, your parents have, like a basement full of this stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, my grandma used to go to garage sales and just pick up whatever VHS she thought was cool looking. And
it's bright and colourful and animated. That'll do. Who's it directed?
Yeah.
Who's it directed by? Ralph Bakshi? Well, he seems nice and friendly. No.
Probably like
Yeah. So we've got a lot to...
dinosaur story.
Sorry, what was that?
We have like you probably have like an entire shelf worth of "We're Back," a dinosaur story.
Oh God.
Jeez.
And of course, I watched some of these because my parents didn't know any better. But we've got a lot to get through, Capers. We've got 13 of these bastards to go through, a baker's dozen. So we're going to go through them from best in big quotation marks, as in least shit, but still kind of shit, to absolute dreck, the stuff that nightmares are spawned from, the thing that Mephisto thinks is a good idea. Let's get to it! And we start, Capers and guys, with that seminal classic, Lady and the Tramp 2 Scamp's Adventure.
That was a fairly recent one, right?
This came out in 2001, but and although I say recent, it's recent comparatively speaking because the original came out in 1955. So it's a very timely sequel, you know. Oh God, and so it follows. So here's the thing with this movie. The reason why I'm doing this movie first and saying that it's the least worst is because it's not terrible. It's okay, kind of. It's just bogged down by cliche and pedantry and just very, very middle-of-the-road boring cliches. It's really, really annoying because it's got some actually pretty decent animation. It's got some great voice acting. I mean, for God's sake, they've got Scott Wolf, Alyssa Milano, Chaz Palminteri, Jeff Bennett voicing multiple characters. They've even got Jodie Benson, the voice of a Little Mermaid, as Lady.
That's not bad.
And do you know what they've even got? They got Rob Paulson as well. They got Kathy Moriarty. They got former biggest star in the world, Mickey Rooney.
Wow.
Whoa, weird.
Did I get Mickey?
What was that?
Mickey Rooney was in Fox and the Hound, so wrong sequel.
Yeah, weirdly enough, he's in this movie, but not in Fox and the Hound 2. We're gonna get on to that. So the basic story is Lady and the Tramp are living contentedly with their 3 purebred, somehow Cocker Spaniel daughters and their 1 purebred mutt son. That's not how genetics work! But okay. Named Scamp. And Scamp doesn't really like living in the house. He likes to be wild and free. So he decides to give up his life of, basic privilege and comfort to live on the streets because he's a moron. And while he's there, he meets a bunch of junkyard dogs led by Chaz Palminteri, who used to know his dad, the Tramp, and a little dog voiced by Alyssa Milano, who actually secretly really just wants to be part of a family again. And it pretty much goes through all the motions you expect. He wants to be part of the junkyard dogs. They test him. He fails. They test him again. He succeeds, but it comes at a cost and a price, and he doesn't know which side to join. Does he stay with his family and with Angel, or does he go with the junkyard dogs and blah? And it's just like, there's some good ideas buried in here somehow, but it's basically the tried and tested and boring story of the offspring of the main characters from the last movie, basically going through a slight reversal situation of what their parents went through, which is fucking boring.
This is Rent. Like a dogs.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
It's Rent, but it's a movie about dogs.
Oh, the horror!
The musical Rent.
Oh, no.
About a rich kid who decides that he wants to pretend to be poor for his art.
525,000 fucking money that went to this movie that it didn't deserve. Dun, dun, dun.
Alright, I know why this is the best on the list. Running time according to... Yes.
Sorry, you cut out.
That's it.
Sorry, could you say
The
that again?
running time for this movie is 69 minutes.
Yes, it's one of the shorter ones. It's not the shortest one. The shortest one, I think, on this list runs at a whopping total of 53 minutes. But
Jeez.
yeah, but this is on the shorter side, and you could just, I don't know, it's kind of funny in some places as well. Jeff Bennett, I mentioned, plays the Tramp, but he also plays a bunch of other characters returning from the last movie, and also this new character, a dog catcher, who he does in the style of Don Knotts, playing a Barney Fife on the Andy Griffith Show. Just like, what's going on here? Oh, you dogs! And it's kind of funny, but only because it makes me think of Don Knotts and how funny he was. So, it's funny, but with a big fucking asterisk next to it. What else? It's got, like, Michael Goff, Frank Welker, Mary Kay Bergman, and Tress MacNeille in it. Oh, yeah, they brought the Siamese cats for this. Because, that's something that needs to be brought in from the original, the incredibly racist bit. Thanks for that.
Oh, boy.
It's really fucking awful. But one thing I do actually kind of like about it is it does kind of focus on, I said, it's called Lady the Tramp Part 2, but it's not really about Lady the Tramp, it's about Scamp, and the Lady the Tramp lady is really not in it at all. Like, she's barely in it. It mainly focuses on the relationship between Scamp and his dad. And it is kind of an interesting relationship, and him finding out stuff about his dad, but it could always so easily avoided. Like, Scamp has caused a mess in the house, and so he's chained up outside. And he says to his dad, you don't know what it's like, you've lived inside your whole life. And his dad goes, well, I don't know about that. Which is when he should say, actually, no, I lived on the streets for most of my life. You dick. It's a big revelation later on in the movie, but it's just like, why would you keep that a secret? Like, that's something you could very easily tell. It's not something you were particularly ashamed of or anything. Why wouldn't you say that? This could all have been avoided if you just said something that could have easily been said in the first cocking 5 minutes of the movie. Moving on. We got to get through these quick, guys. We got to get through them quick because
we have 90 minutes.
Even so, there's a lot more I want to say about all these movies, and frankly, the reason why it's the first one is because there's the least to talk about. Moving on to The Fox and the Hound 2. Now, this came out in 2006.
Oof.
Yep, after the initial release of, in 1981 of The Fox and the Hound. Now, I like The Fox and the Hound. There's a lot of stuff in it that kind of annoys me, but I think the core of the movie really holds up. It's all about the nature of friendship and trust and how the forces of society can tear some friendships apart based upon the roles that society assigns certain people. And yeah, it's done through like, oh, cute animals, but it does work. That message does work, and it has a lot of emotional depth and sincerity, and a really dark moments, and some really quiet, emotional moments. I always remember that scene where, like, Todd is, like, down in, like, the edge of the river, and he's really weak and stuff, and Copper's on the side, and then, like, the nasty guy who owns Copper is, like, levying his shotgun at the fox, and then Copper just silently walks over to Todd and places himself between, the gun and Todd, and it's really quiet and still. You can hear a pin drop, and you see every single emotion on all the characters. It's beautiful, and all the characters' emotions show on their faces, and it takes time to show their emotional development. And it's really, really effective. And the sequel is about how Copper wants to join a band.
I have seen neither movie.
Go watch the Fox and the Hound.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that one's the one to go with. If
Yes,
I was gonna
absolutely.
watch either of them.
It's an excellent movie, but it's followed up by this. So we don't see them as adults in this movie, so it's sort of like a midquel more than anything else. And it's and so there's a fair coming to town. Oh boy, gee willikers! And Todd and Copper, who spend their days chasing crickets, want to go to the fair and see the fireworks. But at the fair, there's a band of dogs. I'm going to say that again. A band of dogs who are waiting for a talent scout to come by and take them.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, but it's awesome, but like they're waiting for a talent scout to come and make them famous and rich. It's like, okay, this is a passing novelty, not something that should really be taken that seriously. But they
I support them.
They treat it so seriously.
I will buy all their songs on Bandcamp.
But the female member of the dog band, voiced by Reba McEntire, is a bit of a
Hell
diva.
yeah.
And so, Cash, voiced by...
Yeah.
Cash, the other member of the band, voiced by, and I'm not kidding, Patrick Swayze,
Oh, good grief.
Oh, jeez.
kicks her out of the band and replaces her with Copper. And it drives a wedge between him and Todd, who wants to spend time with his friend, but he can't sing, so he can't be part of the band. And then Cash starts getting all mean and grumpy and trying to force the other band members into, practicing more and stuff and getting really uptight and stuff. And they don't like that because it's not fun anymore. And meanwhile, Reba McEntire dog is trying to drive the wedge between Copper and Todd even further because she's jealous of a fucking puppy. She's jealous of a puppy. And oh god, and it's just like, really? We're going from a place of true emotional depth and sincerity to this. It's actually kind of amazing.
Oof.
Why do they even think about doing this?
I don't know. Why? It's because they wanted to flood the market with as many of these sequels as they could.
Also the same. It's the same reason why they're doing the live action stuff. It's to renew the copyright.
Yes! It's because that's all Disney care about. It's the copyright. That's why they circumnavigated copyright law for years. Why they managed to lobby to change copyright law. And oh god, and it'd be fine if these sequels and these remakes added something new or tried something that worked. But most of them don't, and it's just it's the blandest thing. And the only thing that stops it being lower on this list is the fact that because they got such big names like Reba McEntire, Patrick Swayze, Jeff Foxworthy, Stephen Root, Jim Cummings, and Rob Paulson, and the fact that it's got decent animation, like it's perfectly good animation, is the only thing that stops it from going lower on this list.
Does Jeff Foxworthy play a fox? Because then we got to throw this DVD out. If he does.
No. No, Jeff Foxworthy voices...
Well, that's shit then.
Yeah. I think he voices Lyle. Can't remember who Lyle is.
I don't know. Not a fox, but all that matters.
I think
Quick, Disney Wiki.
I think Lyle is like the owner of Copper and Chief.
Oh, he's just like a dude. He's not even a dog.
He's just a guy.
He's just a dude.
He's just like a crusty old man.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this did not do well. This is the point. Well, at this point, it was 2006, and a lot of crappy Disney sequels had gone to home media, and people were really getting sick of it. And so it got a 20% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
As it should.
Amazing.
As well it should. And, God, like, if it came out before Fox and the Hound, or this was the Fox and the Hound, I wouldn't care. It would be like a nice, breezy, easy light kids film. That would be fine. It doesn't have anything really bad in it, you know, who cares? But because it came after The Fox and the Hound, like, you can't follow up that with this. You just can't.
Exactly. It's because how in the I haven't watched this one, but in the entirety of the film, Scott, does any of it pave the way or build up or even what is going to happen to Todd and Copper in the actual film?
No, none of it. None of it. Like, literally, the way Todd and
There you
Copper
go.
are in the beginning of the movie is exactly as the same. They're exactly the same at the end of the movie as they are at the beginning of the movie. There's no real development. There's conflict, to be sure. Cheap manufactured conflict. But aside from that, nothing. It's like... It's nothing. There's nothing here. It's nothing. Fuck you, Disney Toon Studios!
We'll be friends forever.
No, you won't.
Unless we join a dog back.
Yeah.
Everything can be Shrek too.
It sounds like something pound puppies would do.
It is very reminiscent of that, actually. Yeah, it's got...
Then again, the pound puppies movie's a trip and a half. Ugh.
Oh, God. And the songs are... I mean, it's very country song-esque, and I know nothing about country songs, so I can't comment on it, really. And I know...
It's mostly garbage.
Yeah, I like to say most country songs then are mostly garbage. The songs in this are mostly garbage.
The country bears play better music.
Oh, why is Disney... Every time Disney goes to their country songs, something bad happens!
I'm talking about
they don't actually get anyone that knows anything about country music to do anything about it.
Well, they got Reba McEntire.
Is she writing the songs? Probably not.
Well, let's see. The writers for this live... nope, not a single one was written by Reba McEntire.
No, yeah, I'm looking at soundtrack writers. Yeah.
Who did the music?
Other performers include the band One Flew South, Chip Davis, Josh Grayson, Reba McEntire, Trisha Yearwood, Little Big Town with the Singing Strays, in quotation marks, and Lucas Grabeel. So, yeah, it's if you're looking for like authentic country songs, I doubt you're gonna find it here. But then again, why would you go here for that? Fox and the Hound, let's just pretend it never happened and move fucking on. Oh God, now we've got this one. It's the Hunchback of Notre Dame 2.
Why is it so far up?
Oh, come on. I thought this would be higher on the list or lower on the list.
No, the animation is... Oh, God.
Are you kidding? This should be in the bottom. Have you lost your mind? This should be in the bottom.
Right.
Yeah. How is it so far up? God, it is... It should be way, way, way lower.
Well, unlike Fox and the Hound 2, it got a... Unlike Fox and the Hound 2, it got a 30% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, so I don't know what you're doing.
Why? How?
But, like, I judge...
Esmeralda's in it, and I love her.
Yeah, but she doesn't do it! Oh, I'll tell you about Esmeralda!
She doesn't do fucking anything.
No,
I love her so much, though.
She does... If anything, she contributes negatively towards the plot, but I'll get into why this movie is so high up on the list. Now, I think the original Hunchback of Notre Dame is a good movie that's a terrible adaptation. Because that's the best thing you could say about any Disney movie. Good movie.
Well, I mean, I do like that they took out the... I like that they took out the horrible, horrible racism from Victor Hugo's.
Fair enough. Yes, I yeah.
that Esmeralda's not actually Romani. She was kidnapped. She's a perfect white girl that was kidnapped by the horrible, horrible Romani people.
Oh God.
Ouch.
Oh, Victor Hugo. Okay, but that
1890s
But that movie was meant more...
century.
But sorry, that story was meant more as a takedown of the church at the time. And the movie went in a different direction, which is, I guess, fair enough. It did what it did, and I thought it was okay.
Hellfire's not a takedown of the church. Oh, I guess. not really part of the church. They kind of distance Frollo from him.
Yeah, like he's
Just wondering,
not
should we make any Notre Dame burning jokes this week?
No,
boy.
no, we're not. Why would you even think we would? Why would you think we would make jokes about that? It's a horrible thing.
Disney is pledging $6 million to help rebuild Notre Dame. Meanwhile, they don't pay anyone living wages, and a woman died in her car that worked in Disney World.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's getting awkward very quickly.
Yeah. I mean, what can you even say to that? That's fucking
Awful.
You know, I mean, a building.
It's awful.
A building was damaged, and that's very bad, and it's architecturally and historically significant. I get that, but maybe focus your attention and your money on, I don't know, fixing the problems of humans, not buildings. Like, the gargoyles don't come to life in real life, guys. They don't do that.
It's such a whiplash of tone. It's like Hellfire movie as the fucking gargoyles.
God.
The problem is that the probably don't know if Disney kind of gets mind if they're the personification of Quasimodo's like subconscious or real. The gargoyles are the personification of Quasimodo's mind, or if they're just talking animated gargoyles. What are they?
They are talking animated gargoyles because there's someone else in this movie that interacts with them.
Oh god.
Yeah, and so this story is set after the original film. Phoebus and Esmeralda are married and have a rather annoying child named Zephyr, voiced by, and I'm not kidding, Haley Joel Osment.
Sora.
Oof. Yeah. They needed to let him do something else other than just Sora.
I mean, I have heard worst child. I mean, he doesn't give a bad performance. I want to make that clear. It's just the character is like, oh gosh, gee willikers, oh gee whiz, Quasimodo, we're best friends, aren't we? Yes, we are, Zephyr. Are we really gonna be best friends forever? Yes, we are. BFFs forever? Yes, we are. Forever and ever and ever? Shut up! Just shut up, you little twerp! Anyway,
I forgot about that kid.
And so there's a celebration going on, all about a festival of love. And apparently the plague has rolled into town because there are significantly less people in the city of Paris than there were before because, you know, they got a smaller animation budget. And the animation is really, really bad. It was made in 2002, and if Lady and the Tramp Scamps Adventures came out in 2001 and had good animation, and this came out a year later and had worse animation, there's no excuse. There's no fucking excuse.
They released Lilo and Stitch I think this year. So how in the world do they go from that to this?
It's really, really fucking bad. And,
oh god.
And there's a festival of love going on, as I said, and Quasimodo is sad because he thinks that no one will love him ever.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
They did this at the end of the first movie. The only movie.
Yes. But it's okay.
I'm looking at pictures of Zephyr because I forgot he existed. Why is Zephyr whiter than both of his parents?
That is a very good point. That is an excellent point.
He's more... I'm looking at a picture of all three of them standing next to each other, and he is whiter than both of them.
Like, I bet, like, Esmeralda is just like, Phoebus, did you cheat on me? What? No, how would that work? You're the one with darker skin! There's no excuse for this. This does not work in any conceivable scenario. Did they adopt? Maybe they adopted, who knows? But they never mentioned that, so we can only assume that he's an alien. He's like a midwich cuckoo or something. But as the circus comes to town, led by the evil and definitely 100% gay Sarouche. I mean, this guy, he is so fey and so fabulous, and it's really fucking obvious. And he's got a assistant / servant who he rescued from the streets named Madeline. Madeline, I don't know how you pronounce her name. Voiced by Jennifer, no seriously, I'm still relevant, Love Hewitt.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and he says, okay, so we've got this evil plan to steal a bell from Notre Dame.
Oh, God.
And this bell is a special bell called La Fidèle. And on the outside, it looks like a normal bell, but it's beautiful and golden and full of jewels on the inside. Do you get it? Do you get it? It's beautiful on the inside. Do you get it?
Should we all sigh together?
Yes.
Three,
1,
three,
2,
yeah.
3. It's so awful. And not only is the metaphor painfully obvious, but that is a terrible way to construct a bell. Wouldn't like the knocker inside the bell ruin the gold and stuff? It's a very soft metal. Wouldn't it rattle loose the jewels and stuff?
I don't steal a
think
bell.
about it.
I don't know.
Think
Like,
about it too much.
well, Sarouche is like an illusionist that can do magic, and it's meant to be all like a trick, but he literally uses the trick to make the bell vanish, and it's explained later that he did an earlier trick where he vanished an elephant using a secret tunnel, but there's no secret tunnel at the top of the bell tower of Notre Dame. So how did he do it? I guess he's a wizard.
It's a
He's
mythical tunnel.
just out of nowhere actual magic.
Yeah. And so he sends Jennifer Love Hewitt, I can't remember her actual name, so I'm just going to call her Jennifer Love Hewitt, to seduce Quasimodo and find out what bell is La Fidèle and get him away from it. And over time, they fall in love, and it's only because of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Tom, I can't remember how you say his name, Amadeus's Mozart's performances that lend us any credibility. They are really, really trying, and there are a few moments that do feel emotionally sincere. Not enough to make this a good movie, dear God, no, but bless them, they're trying. Meanwhile, while that's going on, Kevin Kline, who is the only good thing in this world, I swear to God, is very concerned that the circus is coming into town. Just like, ooh, there's a lot of people coming into town. I better be careful being the town guard. And Esmeralda's like, oh, you can't lump people together like that. Oh, you should be so generalizing. Oh, no, the gypsies, da. I'm just like, whoa, okay, fine, fair enough, but like, give him a chance. He's your husband. Like, maybe like talk him out before like calling him a bigot or something. But what do you know? He was right. And the circus comes to town, and they immediately start stealing everybody's shit. And he puts two and two together and think, a bunch of robberies committed the second the circus rolls into town. They're probably connected. What's Esmeralda's response to this? You're wrong! And I'm sitting here thinking, like, but he's right. He's right. Like, you're trying to give him a lesson about tolerance.
I mean,
but I'm completely wrong.
They shouldn't have made the people of color the bad guys.
Actually, I think, well, with the possible exception of Sarouche, who is slightly darker skinned, most of the circus people, like, are white. So, you know.
Yeah, but they explicitly say that they're, like, they use the G word for all of them, so they're definitely, you know, Romani in nature, and I don't blame, I mean, like, of course this is a bad movie and bad writing, but, like, I don't blame Esmeralda for being pissed off that people are assuming that her people are thieves.
Yeah, but here's the thing. She shows no contrition at the end. It all gets dumped on Phoebus. And, like, not even like, okay, I think you were wrong about assuming about things about people, but you were right about the circus. And, like, I don't know, it's just like, there was a way you could have done this that would have made perfect sense and would have been much more, you know, balanced and much more accessible to people. But the way they present it is that, at least it just came across like Esmeralda was being an overly judgmental shrew, and Phoebus was getting all the blame, and it's just like, whoa, whoopsie doopsie, like it's all my fault, even though he was entirely right about everything.
God help the outcasts, indeed.
God help the outcasts, indeed. And it ends with Sarouche taking Zephyr hostage, and Quasimodo and Madeline falling out because she betrayed him. Blah, 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 blah. But they work together at the end, and they stay together, and they're happy, and it's like, I love Jennifer Love Hewitt, and I love Quasimodo, da, da, da. And it's just, oh god, it's so bad. It's so bad. And there are some moments, like, there are some shots in this movie where it shows that they were really, really trying. Like, there's some moments like he paints like a figurine of Madeline and himself, and they're together. And there's moments where like she initially betrays him, and he collapses on the stairs of the bell tower crying. And it's like, oh god, they're trying, but the writing doesn't work, and the animation doesn't work, and it's a shame. I think if they just had more time to work on it, and if they had a much, much bigger budget, there's potential for this to be halfway decent. But as it is, it's not even that. And it's a shame, because when it's worse than having something has no talent to it whatsoever and no creativity, because it has some talent and some creativity, but not enough to go all the way. So it's like, what could have been? They got back everyone from the original movie. They got back Amadeus and Demi Moore and Kevin Kline. And so, God, fuck. They even got back Jason Alexander, and that's not even the first time he's gonna turn up in one of these movies.
Oh no.
Oh, poor Jason Alexander. What happened to you, man?
I don't know. What happened to you, Jason? What happened to you? Oh, God. And, yeah, it ends on this really, really sappy note, and it's just, oh, God. Oh, God. And, at least it's more timely than the other movies. The original came out in 1996. This came out in 2002. But, I mean, it's just awful. It's just fucking awful. Let's move on now to something which I'm sure has no issue of racism or any problematic themes whatsoever. Pocahontas 2: Journey to a New World.
Oh, no!
No.
That was the one that I remember the most!
Yes! Pocahontas 2, let's give history an even bigger anal fisting than we did for the first one.
What?
Well,
Who decided this was a good thing, and why does it not last?
yeah, why isn't this the bottom?
Oh god, yeah, and so Pocahontas 2 starts rather ominously in London, where John Smith, who is totally not a brown-haired, bearded man in his middle ages, but rather young, blonde Billy Zane.
Oh no.
Actually, no, oh, sorry, mistake. I do apologise. No, Donald Gibson voices Captain John Smith. Billy Zane voices the new romantic interest for Pocahontas. She gets 2.
Well, John Rolfe.
What?
John Rolfe was a husband in real life.
Yes. Oh,
I guess they decided, hey, if we're gonna do this again, we gotta do it actually kind of accurate.
although I should point out, she married her husband, had a kid with him, converted to Christianity, journeyed to England, and then died.
At about the age of 21.
Yep, so it's not entirely faithful, but John Smith is ambushed by a group of soldiers who have a warrant for his arrest, and they're led by, dun dun dun, Governor Ratcliffe, voiced by David Ogget Steers, who deserves more.
Yay!
Oh, boy.
Yep, and then...
Another queer-coded villain.
Basically, yeah.
See how I glitter.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, God. And so, and then it seems like John Smith dies. Yeah, I'm sure the guy who was killed off screen in the very beginning, like the first 2 minutes of the movie, that was a major part of the last movie, is dead forever. Sure, Disney, I buy that.
I mean, they did it to Irene in the second Sherlock Holmes movie with the Robert Downey Jr.
But you see, that's a problem with that movie. That movie was made by competent people. This is not. Oh, God. So, going to, back to, colonial Virginia, I guess.
Ooh.
tensions.
Hey, that's where I'm from.
Hey!
Hey!
So you can tell us whether all of this is actually accurate. Spoiler alert,
bullshit.
it's not.
They lived hand in hand
They
with
go.
the natives.
They go from Virginia to London. So like.
Yep, and so tensions are high between the colonists and the Powhatan nation, and with Pocahontas being like the peacekeeper between the two of them. And newly arrived, sent by the king in order to find out just what's been going on there and maybe bring Pocahontas back to further diplomacy, is John Rolfe, voiced by God's favourite lovable square-jawed bald man, Billy Zane.
And some seeker of darkness.
Oh, God, Billy Zane, what are you? Like, literally, what are you? But he hears about Pocahontas and immediately assumes that that must be the male leader of the chief. So he brings a horse to the leader of the chief and says, I bring this to Pocahontas. And apparently, and then the chief of the tribe says, daughter, this strange beast is for you. Because apparently they don't have horses in America. Like, I thought they had horses there.
Not native. The Spanish brought them over.
Oh, so before...
Oh, okay.
But they... Okay, fine. And so... And he's like, what? I thought I was going to speak to a man. No, you're going to speak to a lady. Deal with it. Most unorthodox. But he says, look, I really... Even if you are a lady, a filthy, filthy lady, we need you to come back to visit the king and the queen, because apparently Governor Ratcliffe has been telling some porky pies about you and everything that went down, and John Smith, by the Beatty Dubs, he's dead. Soz. And so will you come with me to England to help sort all this shit out? And she's like, oh, I don't know. But eventually she's like, okay, fine. And then they send this other guy with her who supposedly did visit with her in real life, I don't know. And he's just like... He did. Yeah, and the chief says, carve a notch in this big stick for every single pale face you see.
Oh, God.
Spoiler alert, within, like, the first couple of seconds of him arriving in London, it gets dwindled down to, like, a toothpick, and he throws it away. It's very, very funny.
Remember when they had, like, at least a few people that were actually Native American in this movie?
Well, Irene Bedard is Native American.
Right. Yeah, Irene, and then the chief is there for like 4 seconds, but the guy who's with her the entire time is Brad Garrett.
Oh, no.
Oh, Brad Garrett, why? Oh, God. And so she eventually goes...
Like,
Yep. And so they go to England, accompanied by the hummingbird psychic, the pug psychic, and the raccoon psychic, because this movie doesn't have enough animal psychics to go around. We just spread them out.
Chris Farley was supposed to voice like a turkey in this movie or something, and then he died and they decided to scrap that.
It was John Candy. John Candy.
John Candy.
He died after filming a few of his lines, which is why none of the animals in the original movie have voices. But that doesn't explain why the tree has a voice. Like, okay, so you won't have talking animals, but you will have a talking tree. I am not a historian or a botanist, but I am fairly certain there were no talking trees in pre-colonial Virginia! Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they remade this movie and fixed it with Moana. So
did they
if you want to get a gist of this movie, just go fucking watch Moana. It's way better. It's the same movie.
I don't like Moana, but it's better than this movie.
Yeah.
By leaps and bounds. So they go to England, and then they get into everyone's favorite Disney
movie.
So they go to England, and we're greeted by everyone's favorite Disney song, "What a Day in London." We're just like, oh, look at all the weird English people and all their weird fashions. Oh, what fun. Ha, 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 ha. And so they try to meet the king and queen, but the king refuses. And so instead, Pocahontas and Rolfe decide they're going to go to a ball, which means, oh God, I can't believe I have to say this, John Rolfe has to teach Pocahontas how to be civilized and give her like lessons on how to fit in with British society and wear like British dresses and speak properly and act properly and balance books on our heads and oh God.
It's a worse Wonder Woman. Like they did this in Wonder Woman way better. I keep just finding better versions of these movies.
And and during the course of this, Pocahontas and John Rolfe get to know each other and, get a little bit closer together. Ugh. And at the ball,
Agree.
after a little stumble at the beginning, Pocahontas ingratiates herself with the king and queen, and everything seems to be going very well. But Ratcliffe shows up, and he smarms at her, and they have a little head-to-head, and it's a whole thing. And just... oh, God. And then it turns out that, as part of the entertainment for this ball, there's going to be a friendly bear baiting.
Oh, God.
Which Pocahontas takes exception to and calls everyone else savages for, hurting a bear. I'm just going to let you do with that what you will. And so she's arrested and thrown in the Tower of London because, of course he is.
Mm-hmm.
And John Rolfe is really not happy about this, like, oh, I didn't want this, it's all gone so wrong. And he's approached by... John Smith! He's alive! Gasp!
It's a miracle.
And,
You need a Gibson to play a white savior.
well, again, it's not, it's Donald... Oh, yeah, Donald Gibbs.
Yeah, it's his older brother.
It
Or
counts,
something.
it counts.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, alright.
They
Oh, is it
often
again?
get siblings. Like, I think in there's a lot of people that they have siblings play. Like Tom Hanks, his brother plays literally everything Woody's in now, except for the movies.
Yeah, and in Young Justice, Shazam / Captain Marvel was initially voiced by Rob Lowe, but in later appearances was voiced by his brother Todd Lowe. Make of that what you will. And so John Rolfe and John Smith. Wait, no, it's John Rolfe and John Smith. Two Johns.
John.
Band forces together and they bicker and snipe at each other. And I'm just thinking, will you two just shut up and kiss already? I buy the relationship between them more than I do between any of the Johns and Pocahontas. To liberate Pocahontas, skipping to the end, they do, she's fine, Ratcliffe is revealed for the traitor, the king arrests him, blah 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 blah. Smith receives a royal pardon and a ship as an apology, and he's like, hey Pocahontas, come with me, we'll sail the 7 seas and get into all kinds of sexy adventures. And she's like, no, I found like another John, and he's less of a dick. although still kind of a dick. I have terrible taste in men. And in fairness, it's like the one mature thing of the movie, but they're kind of hampered by like the historical accuracy, not that it's ever stopped them before. And so she and John Smith like break up officially and like say, sorry, we're still great friends, but I'm into this other guy now. She and John Rolfe get together, and that's the end. She decides to go back with him to Virginia while leaving the Native American guy behind. Just for reasons, because he's going to do really well in London, And that's the end of the movie. It's shit.
Can you paint with all the colours of the wind? Nope.
Can you paint with all the colours of colonial repression?
God.
Yeah, it's.
This is rough. It
is so rough, and it's weird. Like, in trying to be more historically accurate, they ended up making the movie worse, because we couldn't take anything from the original movie seriously because there was no historical accuracy, apart from like 1 or 2 microscopic details.
Yeah.
Because they tried to make it more historically accurate, the historical inaccuracies are somehow magnified to an even greater extent. And we could ignore that if the story itself was actually good. But it's not. We could ignore it if it didn't come up with all these massive problems. But it does. And, considering... I understand... I'm given to understand there was a significant backlash against the original movie from the Native American community.
Yes.
So why would they even bother? This came out 3 years after the original. So, the heat could not have done... Money. Yes, money, obviously.
Money.
It did well.
It
did well money-wise.
It did well money-wise. Not so much critically wise. 29% of Rotten Tomatoes. It's because this is like when the whole Disney direct-to-DVD market was just starting to kick off. Like the Disney Renaissance was trailing off. People start to realize, hey, wait a minute, all these movies are shit because I'm not the first. But it just added to the awfulness. But sadly, the awfulness is not over for us. Moving on. Oh god, because like we've had bad sequels to bad movies, and we've had like bad sequels to good movies. Now we've got another bad sequel to a good movie. Oh god, oh god, oh god, it's Mulan 2.
Oh boy. I saw this movie. I watched this once at an elementary school lock-in where we stayed the night in the library, and it was bad.
You were locked in the library overnight?
What?
It was like a event. Like all of the students in my class, like we had to have a sleepover at the library.
And they voted to watch Mulan 2?
Yeah, I mean, generic kids movie that was easy to find, yeah.
It's a real rubbish lot.
My elementary school, it was whatever. I mean, it's a bad movie. The only thing I remember from it is, would you like to stay for dinner? Would you like to stay forever?
Oh, okay.
Oh god. Yes, and a lot of the original cast didn't turn up, including Eddie Murphy, but they got back Ming-Na Wen, B.D. Wong, Harvey Fierstein, and George Takei. So
are BD and Ming actually singing this time? Well, Ming did sing, but BD actually gave the singing role to Donny Osmond. Yeah, even though BD Wong can sing.
I don't think he does. Well, Lea Salonga is the singing voice of Mulan. I can't remember actually if BD Wong does sing at all in this movie, because I try to repress as much of the movie as I fucking can. So, because we went from a movie about a woman saving an entire nation despite the restrictions placed upon her gender, to her escorting 3 princesses who are about to go into arranged marriges.
Oif. One's voiced by Lucy Liu, so that's a plus.
One's voiced by Lucy Liu. Another is voiced by Lauren Tom. Yeah, it's. Oh god. And
Sandra Oh, holy shit.
And Sandra Oh. So there are actual people in this movie.
Yeah. George Takei is also in this movie again. Like
George Takei is in this movie, which I'm fine with, even because like anything that has George Takei in it, I'm okay with. Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my. Oh god. George Takei is awesome. Save this movie. And so that's like, and this whole movie is just revolving around the same sort of trope. It's all about relationships, and that's it. And that's fine as a subplot. But that's literally the whole movie. And it's all about Mulan and Shang and their issues, which are compounded by Mushu, who in this movie, because he doesn't want to not be relevant anymore, tries to break them up. Well, he endeared himself to me pretty fucking quickly. Thanks so much, Mushu and his voice actor, Mark Mosley, who is doing an impression of Eddie Murphy. I don't know what his ethnicity is, but if he's not black...
He's a voice double for a lot of people. I'm looking at his stuff right now. I can't find a picture of him, but he's a voice double for both Eddie Murphy and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
he's white. It's been a picture.
Okay,
he's white.
Sounds about right.
Oh great, then we can hate him. Hooray! Well,
and Patrick Warburton. He sound doubles for for fucking everything apparently.
Isn't Patrick Warburton his own sound double? Patrick Warburton isn't a big enough star to have a sound double, surely.
Oh, he is now. I feel like he's gotten to that point. He probably voiced Mark Mosley probably voiced Kronk somewhere, which is why they're saying that.
Probably, yeah. probably, because Patrick Warburton knows better than to return to that. But anyway, and this is
Emperor's New Groove.
this is the annoying thing about this movie is I'm looking at the Wikipedia. There's a whole text of plot, but nothing really happens in the movie. There's misunderstandings and romantic meet cutes and a fake out death again. And it all resolves with like, oh, the princesses don't want to be arranged marriages. Okay, fine, great. Fixed everything with Mushu, fixed everything with Mulan and Shang, and that's it. It's a nothing movie. It's a nothing movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few funny moments in it. Like, I remember laughing once in the whole movie. Like, Shang needs to rest, like he needs his sleep, because he's very sleep deprived. And Mushu is just like, don't worry, I won't wake him up. And then it immediately cuts to Mushu with like a one-man band outfit walking over Shang. Like, and it's kind of funny, but only because it's a visual gag and it could have been done by any other character. It's not funny because of Mushu or his character or the performance of the voice actor. It's just like it's the easiest joke you can make. It's funny, but it's the easiest joke you can make, and it's the only funny thing in the movie.
There's a quote from that movie that people use a lot. Like I've seen it all over the place, and it's the only thing I ever see from this movie, and people forget that it's actually from this movie. It's when Mulan introduces Shang to her grandma, and like shoves in front of her, and she says, "Would you like to stay forever?"
Sorry,
First movie.
Sorry, you cut.
Is that from the first movie?
Yeah, it is.
I don't remember that being in the first movie. I don't remember him ever meeting her family.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he goes to her house and he meets the grandma. And she's like, "Ooh, sign me up for the next war."
All right, fuck it, whatever. I'll cut all this out.
Yeah, you see, all the good things you remember about this movie are from the other movie. So, yeah, God, I know it'd be so cool.
Oh, I totally don't even remember.
It'd be so cool to see Mulan and Shang go against, like, bandits or face some new aggressor and, deal with their relationship problems, sure, but that would be, like, the background, the subplot. Meanwhile, there's a much more important thing going on, which is them, like, defending the nation! Let's get Kung Fu Panda on this shit! Come on! Jeez, the live-action remake better be better than this and not done from the perspective of a white guy. What's that?
I'm not going to say it. Not going to waste my time.
They cut Shang.
They cut
Shang's not in the movie because they didn't want to worry about people thinking that he's bi.
No! Fuck off!
Because he's like way into Mulan before he finds out Mulan's a girl. Link.
Every time.
And they didn't want to worry about that, so now she has like a rival who hates her until he finds out she's a girl.
Every time Disney makes one step forward with regards to LGBTQIA plus representation, they take fucking 10 steps back. I hate it. Moving on.
Goes again.
Moving on. Oh God. Right. So there are count them, 2 sequels to the movie The Little Fucking Mermaid.
Right.
We are going to talk about the third sequel, the third movie in, I guess, The Little Mermaid franchise. The Little Mermaid 3, Ariel's Beginning, which is a prequel.
Oh, that's the one I didn't see. The one I have seen is the second one with her daughter, which is the same thing as the Lady and the Tramp one, except It's a girl and she's a mermaid, and she finds out she's a mermaid.
Oh, we're going to get to that.
Ursula's crazy sister.
But this movie is a prequel before all of that, when she was but a wee little codfish, I don't know. And so it starts with a pre-prequel, like a prologue, where King Triton and his wife, Queen Athena, holy shit, she's alive, are happily ruling the underwater kingdom of Atlantica with their alliterative daughters, Atina, Alana, Adela, Aquata, Arista, Adrena, and Ariel. Fuck.
Well done.
And oh my god, you just wanted to torture them, Triton, didn't you? And they're really happy and everything. But don't forget, Athena, you're a mother in a Disney movie, which means you're gonna die! And immediately a ship comes in, crushes her,
Whoops.
Jesus.
and Triton is really, really sad. And this is where we learn of a prejudice against humans. And you think that'd be what the movie would focus on. But no, because they're going to save that for the first movie. So they focus on his prejudice of, brace yourselves, because this will be the stupidest thing you will ever hear in your life. His prejudice against music. Because his wife loved music, and so he bans music from the entire kingdom.
I thought you were going to say boats. I was gonna be like, okay, that's fair, but music, okay.
Well, how could you ban boats? That's like saying, I hate mosquitoes. I am banning mosquitoes. Like, you can't really control that. But I
don't know. I thought he was just gonna hate boats. Like, this starts as prejudice.
I think he clearly hates boats anyway. Like, he definitely hates boats. But oh god. And so Ariel grows up in a world without music. Oh no!
Oh boy. It's Footloose.
It is! It's Footloose! It is exactly Footloose!
Except they don't have feet.
Oh, but here's the thing, so. Ariel is growing up along with her sisters under the strict rules of her governess, Marina Del Rey, and her assistant, Benjamin, who I think is a manatee? I don't know. And Marina is very ambitious and wants to be higher up on the food chain, as it were, in terms of being close to Triton. But her job that she wants is filled by Sebastian the Crab, who, as the same with any other Little Mermaid movie, is the best thing in the movie, because I fucking love Sebastian. He's awesome.
Yeah, man.
There's some crazy cast in this movie, too. Like, the sisters are all voiced by goddesses of voice acting.
And all Disney princesses.
You got Grey Delisle, Jennifer Hale, Tara Strong, Carrie Walgren.
Three of them are like my favorite voice actresses.
They got Sally Field as Marina Del Rey, Jim Cummings as King Triton, and of course returning is Jodie Benson and Samuel E. Wright, as well as Jeff Bennett, Rob Paulson, and Kevin Michael Richardson. So yeah, because like it's voice actors. If it pays, they'll take it. You know.
Right. Oh yeah. But I mean, like usually in these Disney movies, they'll just like get like big name face actors to. Like,
they don't have the budget for that though.
Like big name voice actors are here is kind of interesting to me.
They don't have the budget for that. You know,
that's fair.
It's direct to DVD. Like they conned Patrick Swayze into it, but they're not going to be able to con anyone else in it. So this is we meet a couple of things like Ariel being frustrated by her lifestyle, like the regimented lifestyle of being a princess, blah 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 blah, and arguments with her dad, and oh god, this seems familiar. But the new thing we get is she meets Flounder. Hooray! Moving on, and then she follows Flounder to an underground music club where lots of fish people are dancing, singing that song from Beetlejuice, Shake, 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 Sonora, Shake Your Body Line.
Okay.
Work, Sonora, work it all the time.
And guess who's singing at the club? The guy who's been, outside of Triton, the most outspoken about banning of music, Sebastian! Oh yeah, he actually gets a pretty interesting story arc in this movie about how he secretly likes music and is going against the wishes of the king. This is why I like Sebastian, because he's the only one that's allowed to have developed character that isn't fucking annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And when you find out that Ariel's there, everyone's like, oh shit, it's a princess, we're doomed, the club's down, shut it down, it's a raid. But she says, no, I really like music and I want to be part of this. I want to be part of your club. So they swear her in and she's like, okay, I'm part of it now. And Sebastian's like, oh god, this is going to end up horribly. Like, Sebastian would have such a fucking great life if it weren't for Ariel. She is the root cause of every single piece of misery in his life. Oh god.
Oh jeez.
And eventually she reveals to her sisters about where she was, and they go to the club, and it's just like, oh, we like this too, even the stuck up, I'm not sure this is a good idea, sister. Because I can't tell the difference between them. I know they're voiced by different people and have different names, they're different. They do have distinct designs, in fairness, coming from the original movie, but I can't tell the fucking... I don't know. You ask me which one is Aquata and which one is Alana, and I couldn't fucking tell you. I'm sorry.
No, I know that they're all based on different seas. Yeah. Because I remember seeing like a really in-depth like which one is which, and then someone was like, "Well, there's no Dead Sea," and someone else was like, "Well, that's her mom."
Ouch.
Yeah, it's so fairness to them, but so they're all living it up at the club, you know, getting drunk and shit, dancing with strange fish, but. Marina finds them, is like, ooh, Sebastian's here, I'm gonna use this to get him in trouble and become like royal attaché. And she reports everything that's happening to Triton, who then does what Triton always does in these movies. He's like throws a big massive temper tantrum, despite the fact that he is, you know, he's a fucking old man, and destroys the club with his trident. Because like, I mean, God, I mean, this character, there's so many good things about this character in the first movie, like he actually gets an arc, but like, it's compounded by, he's just a fucking like old man who gets like temper tantrums. He's like the worst guy to have a magical trident. I would not trust this guy with a trident. Give it to fucking Arthur Curry instead, please.
And he really doesn't like secret caves.
Yeah, he really doesn't.
Boom.
And so...
Where, hand over your secret Marvel stash. Boom.
And so Ariel then, after being grounded and got in trouble and stuff, releases a bunch of her friends and they, like, run away. There's this runaway. And so they try to order these guards to find her, and Marina doesn't want that to happen for some reason. I don't know, this movie's terrible. And so they find the music box that belonged to her mother, and they said, you know what we should do? We should bring this back to my dad, and that will make him not hate music anymore. Bit of an assumption, but all right. And, because, you know, deep down, it's okay that he's, you know, banned music forever and destroyed a club and ruined people's lives because, you know, he's sad about his wife dying, you know, so it's okay. They try to go back, they're confronted by Marina and a bunch of electric eels, but, they manage to solve the scenario. Marina is revealed for who she really is. She's imprisoned along with the fucking manatee.
The humanity.
Triton, oh, the manatee. Triton hears the music box and it's like, oh, I love music now. Music's for everyone. Hooray! We live and die by the random whims of our despotic ruler. All hail the fucking sea god. Bring back Ursula. And everyone's fine, and Marina's in jail, and that's the end of the movie. They don't even tie it into the next music, except the next movie rather. But I tell you, there is one tie into the next movie. Sebastian Notre is the court attaché. He's rather the court composer now, which is his job in the first movie. So that's one tie-in.
Oh, okay.
Because he really likes music, and yeah, that's the fucking movie. I hate it.
I remember being really into that show, and they used that plot line, I think, for Ursula.
Sort of. They kind of like split. They kind of took some of Ariel's storyline and molded Ursula into a more not Ursula character.
Right. Yeah, she's like sympathetic.
What's this from?
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. Fuck.
And her dad's played by Ernie Hudson.
Yes, he is. I remember that.
Ernie Hudson's Poseidon.
Ernie! Ernie, no!
I mean, he also is like, I'll do anything. Like, you got a thing that'll pay, I'll do it.
There's this really funny moment where Captain Hook tries to tell Ursula not to kill the good guy. He says, because I've brought your father, and he swings the door open, and there's only Hudson standing there just like Ned Stark.
Yeah! they just, like, literally, they just bring it like it's a Dr. Phil moment. She stops being evil because they bring her dad and be like, and force them to make up.
It's, Yeah. Well, it's a fucking soap opera.
I
Who
love
cares?
that show.
But you know what? Do you know what's interesting? Do you know what's interesting about The Little Mermaid 3: Ariel's Beginning? There was a word in this movie that was cut out of the cut from the UK, from the British movie. That word was spastic.
Oh lordy.
Right.
No.
That's something that's not like it's
Well,
not
actually,
a
sorry,
bad word in the US.
No, well, tell a lie. I misremembered. It's actually from an interactive game hidden in the extra features of the DVD. So it's not in the actual movie. But you know what's hilarious? If you can find a cut of the DVD in the UK that has that word in it, the movie is no longer rated U for Universal, so like G for America. It's rated 12.
What?
Yeah, because they use...
Are you kidding me?
According to Wikipedia, so, and I'm checking the source, like, yeah, apparently this was a thing from on the BBFC. Like, yeah, there's a cut of The Little Mermaid 3, Ariel's Beginning, that if you are under the age of 12, you are not allowed to see.
Yeah, it's weird. That's not a bad word in the US at all. There was like a whole thing where Weird Al had it in a song, and like everyone was freaking out. Some of his UK fans were like, "Oh no, you used to be so pure," and he apologized. He's like, literally had no idea that was a problem.
I think there was also like a Transformer that was called that name because they ran out of Transformers names. I don't know.
Right.
There's a Transformer called Slag, and they changed it because, you know...
Slag, you're needed!
It's a Triceratops, for God's sake.
Oh my god!
That melts things.
The jokes write themselves. Who could save the day? Only Slag.
There's a Transformer called Erector.
Oh, hello.
Slag, have you met Erector? Erector Slag? Excuse me, I think you'll find I made Erector. Erector wouldn't be who Erector is without me, Slag. Oh god, there's just... This movie, that's... If only people just thought a bit more about these movies, just a little bit more thought. To be slightly better, not much better, just slightly. That's all we need. You need to think about this. That's why I hate them. And that's why I'm going to destroy them.
According to the Wikipedia, they weren't paying attention to this movie and started working on, and then moved all resources to Cinderella 3. And then came back to this movie, and they only had like 2 months before it released at that point.
I can buy that entirely, and that's why Cinderella 3 isn't on this list, because it got more resources.
Cinderella 3 is like good.
It's okay. It's okay.
Surprisingly good.
I don't care if a movie is okay or not. You know, it's... Disney get away with this shit by peddling okay movies in amongst the shit, and it's I hate them! I hate them! I hate them! And soon my reign will commence, and I will destroy them forever! Fuck off, stupid movies. You are all crappy. Best believe me when I say I'll destroy Disney. They are so vile, so arrogant, and it makes me fucking mad. When I go on a fucking rant, I get angry a tad. It's not news that I hate Disney. I'm sure you know that by now. But they're so crap, you must agree, it's time for their final bow. No more of their fucking remakes. It's time to pump the bloody brakes. This awfulness I won't permit. Disney is so shit. Now some films of theirs are okay, and they have some good stories. The shows they do on Broadway are all just fucking copies.
Why do you waste your time, Scott? There's other things that you could do.
There is a fight that must be fought, or perhaps a barbecue. They buy up every company. The goal they have is uncanny. A reputation counterfeit! Disney is so shit! Fuck them all. I'm going to stop them. Right in their fucking tracks. And soon they will feel my anger. With a knife in all their backs.
God's got his doolally. This just fills him up with glee.
Best believe him when he says,
I'll destroy Disney! They are so fucking insulting! Oh, bloody vengeance I will bring!
He's gone crazy!
and rabid.
Yes, you all believe me!
Scott has flipped his lid.
No more fucking Disney! I shall not ever quit! I'm gonna throw a fit! Disney is so shit! But, enough of my future despotic reign. Before we do that, we need to move on to the other Little Mermaid sequel, Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea.
Where's my harpoon?
I remember really liking Melody, but that's because I was a child and she was brunette.
And Tara Strong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Tara Strong does a voice her.
Oh no, is it not?
It's Tara Charandoff.
AKA
Oh,
Tara
I don't know
Strong
what
if you
that
click on
is.
her Wikipedia link.
Oh. Well, they need to update the Wikipedia then. Okay, it's Tara Strong then. Why is she called Charandoff? Like, that was
It might be her maiden name.
It is her
Or-
maiden name, but like, why was she? I don't know. Okay, fine. So
It
it's
is.
Jodie Benson returning as Ariel, Samuel E. Wright as Sebastian, Tara Strong, goddess that she is, as Melody, Rob Paulson as Prince Eric, Kenneth Mars returning as King Triton, other Buddy Hackett returning as Scuttle.
I thought he was dead by then.
Nope, he was alive. Apparently.
Okay.
Rene Auberjonois as Chief Chef Louis. Fuck Odo from Deep Space Nine. Plus Clancy Brown, Frank Welker, Pat Carroll, and Cam Clark. Oh God.
Well,
Fuck.
Pat Carroll, we'll get to her.
Because it opens right after the events of the last movie with a bit of time. Ariel and Eric have married, and they've given birth to their own little squid, Melody. And they celebrate on a ship in the bay, harbour, sea, wherever. And Ariel's dad sees his first grandchild and thinks, I'm going to ruin her life. Because that's what he was thinking. And they give her, a magical locket that shows her a picture of, the underwater golden castle, complete with their very own tower that's shaped like a penis. And,
Oh no.
and for 5 seconds, everything is happy. Everyone's getting along, but it's interrupted by... Who, Mark?
Ursula's crazy sister, Morgana.
Yes, the character we have heard nothing about in the previous movie, who apparently, compared to Ursula, is crazy. Wow. Voiced by Pat Carroll, who is kind of funny, but also kind of pathetic, but also, kind of good because she's much better at what she does than Ursula, but kind of bad because her entire character arc is about her trying to be compared to Ursula.
It's don't compare me to Ursula, even though I have the same voice.
Maybe they're twins.
They're not. They're not identical twins. She complains about how her parents constantly compared her to Ursula. It's just we can't then help but compare her to Ursula. But so she grabs Melody and is about to feed her to a pet shark, Undertow, voiced by Clancy Brown. But then, unless Triton gives her the trident, just destroy that trident! No good can come from having this trident. Because apparently if you get the trident, you rule all of the sea. But Eric and Ariel stop her very easily, I will say. And Triton miniaturizes Undertow to the size of like a tiny little fish, and Morgana escapes and manages to stay escaped for like 10 fucking years, despite the fact that King Triton has the entire ocean being searched. Like, I know it's a lot of ground, but still, kind of, I don't know. Like, you rule all of the sea and all of the sea creatures, like, you'd think. But anyway. And so they're like, oh no, Morgana will stop at nothing to grab Melody?
Mariel.
She's basically Ariel, but reverse. But anyway, she'll stop at nothing to get at Melody in order to get to Triton. So there's only one thing to do. She can never know about the fact that her dad is a grandfather is a mermaid. What?
Or her mom.
Or her mum. Like, why? Why? I understand not telling her when she's a little kid, but if there's a deadly danger that's constantly trying to get at her, why wouldn't you tell her about this? Would it be like, okay, Melody, the reason why you can't go near the sea is because there's an evil squid lady out there that's trying to kidnap you, okay? I know that sounds crazy, but, you know, you can talk to fish, so that's not the most radical thing you've heard this week, is it? And so, yeah, and everyone agrees to this. Everyone thinks that this is the best thing, even though it's possibly the worst thing you can do. And so, obviously, what they do after that is, it doesn't matter that they don't tell her about her heritage, because they obviously move further inland, away from the coast and away from the sea. Oh, wait, no! They don't do that! They just build a wall around the castle! Is there nowhere else you can go? Is this entire kingdom just made up of coastline? Can you not like, go a couple of miles down the road where the octopus lady can't get at you? You morons!
I read that Sebastian just goes under the wall. So
Yeah,
that means,
and it's ridiculous. Like, when she grows up, like, Sebastian is told by the king, keep an eye on her, because, you know, I want you to be as miserable as possible. and Sebastian goes like, me? And Sebastian can easily get to the sea, back and forth, and talks with Melody, who grows up at this point, on a regular basis, and Melody constantly goes into the sea. So you build a wall to keep her out of the sea, and you can't even do that right! Because it just goes to show, walls don't work! Are you paying attention, Trump?
oh dear.
Oh, God. Like, they had... oh, God. So they had two goals in here. Never tell her about her heritage, and build a wall to keep her out of the sea. They failed at the second, and she can talk to fish, but she keeps it a secret. So they failed at that as well. So, like, she knows that something is going on. Oh, God. And she doesn't get on well with her mum and her dad. And she doesn't fit in well talking to people. She prefers to spend time at the sea. And everyone's like, oh, I hear the princess talks to fish. Most unorthodox. And Sebastian tries to console her like, it's okay. I know things were difficult when I was your age. When I was a kid, I had a high squeaky voice and itty bitty little pincers. And then one day, boom! And these whoppers come out. And that's my favourite part of the movie. Like, if I forget everything about my life, I will always remember that scene with Sebastian just, like, trying to be funny and console her. Like, God bless you, Sebastian. God bless you, Samuel E. Wright. You make life bearable just. And so, but Sebastian does end up causing some problems, because at this fancy ball, where I'm sure nothing will go wrong, he accidentally bites, like, pinches the hand of this boy that Melody was dancing with, causing him to freak out, and it causes a huge mess that she somehow is blamed for, despite the fact that, you know, it was that klutz's fault. But anyway, and she gets really frustrated, and one day she finds the locket that her parents were going to give her, that her grandfather threw away into the sea instead of, I don't know, keeping it, and she finds it very easily. And then it's like, oh my God, it's the ancient city of Atlantica that I somehow know about, despite the fact that I was, my parents swore never to tell me about my heritage. This must mean I'm like part mermaid or something, because I can talk to fish or I don't know, some bullshit. And Ares was like, where the hell did you get this? You can't ever go in the sea. And it's dangerous. And she doesn't tell her why. Just tell her why. And Melody's just like, how do you know it's dangerous? You've never even been in it. And this would be the perfect point for Ariel to say, actually, I have been in it because, I am a mermaid. That's why you can talk to fish. Problem solved. It's the whole Lady the Tramp Part 2 Scabs Adventures thing all over again. But it makes even less sense. Oh, God. And so she runs away. And she promises, I'm going to go to the sea and find shit out and stuff. And she goes to the boat and sails away. And then she's discovered by Clancy Brown Shark, who says, I know someone who could help you live in the sea. It's Morgana. Follow me, I'll take you right to her. And meanwhile, Ariel and Eric find out that she's gone. It's like, oh shit, our daughter's escaped, and it's all our fault. And Eric's like, okay, Ariel, here's what you need to do. You need to become a mermaid again to search the sea. Great, and what will you do? I'll conduct the search on land. The search on land? She's going to the sea! Why are you conducting the search on land? Apparently this entire kingdom is coastline, as I said, so there's not much land for you to search now, is there? But anyway... So Ariel asks her dad to use his trident to transform Ariel back into a mermaid, and she does the search for Melody, and they sing a song together from different points, and it's just like, oh, who cares? But Melody meets Morgana, and unlike Ursula, this is like the point where I said that she's kind of better than Ursula. She genuinely tries to convince Melody that she's a good person who just wants to help by acting really sweet and kind and sympathetic, rather than Ursula, who did everything in her power to seem as creepy, unapproachable, and, evil as possible. Like, at least Morgana is trying. It's like, I have a potion here that could turn you into a mermaid and it'll make everything better. Would you like it? Yes, please. Here you go then. OMG, I'm a mermaid. Hooray! I'm not going to ask where my vagina has gone because that just draws too many questions. And...
Puberty must be really weird for mermaids.
Yep. And then Morgana, breaks into, fake sobs. And was like, I'm so sorry, dear. I'm so sorry. But the potion is only temporary. It's not going to work full time. You mean I'll turn back into a human? Yes. Well, there must be something you do. And she says, well, there is something I could do if I had my magic trident. Oh, but it was stolen years ago by an evil man. And there's no way to get it back. I'll get it back for you. Would you really? Because then I'll be able to make you a mermaid forever. I'll do it! Hooray! And she's like, already, this is a much better plan than Ursula's. I like this more. Do you think, Mark?
Well, Ursula pretty much just says, unless you get your true love's kiss, your soul will be mine. It's like, okay, well, I'm gone, bye.
Yeah, not fucking worth it. And I've seen what you've done with all the other souls you've got. I don't want to be like that. Morgana just promises her nothing but what she wants, which is far more effective. And so, on her way to get the trident, swimming as a mermaid, she encounters the worst part of the movie, the most annoying side characters in any Disney movie ever. Tip and Dash, a penguin and a seal or walrus, I don't know. Yeah, walrus.
A walrus.
Yeah. Who are adventurous / explorers who try and help people out but just cause more damage than they solve. And they're so fucking...
They are Timon and Pumbaa as fish.
Timon and Pumbaa... No. That's exactly what you've hit the nail on the head. Is Timon...
They are. You've got the obnoxious little guy, you've got the dumb but friendly big guy.
Yeah, it's really fucking annoying. And they join her, hooray, to get... the trident, and she sees Triton next on his throne room, like, oh, I wonder where my granddaughter is, blah, 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 blah. She's like, oh, he looks sad. Maybe there's something more to this? Nah, the octopus lady wouldn't lie to me. So she takes the trident and goes back to Morgana. Meanwhile, Ariel and all the other characters, including a grown-up flounder who has his own family, meet up with her, so that's fun. And they all converge, and they're all like, Melody, don't give her the trident. She's evil. Fuck you, Mum. You lied to me my whole life. I'm giving her the trident. Boom. Haha, now I'm evil. Oh shit, I made a mistake. And Morgana does now I'm going to rule all the seas. Oh, BT dubs, Melody. I'm going to trap you in this ice cavern, and that potion's running out of time. Have a lot of fun breathing underwater.
Jeez.
But Tip and Dash managed to free her, Meanwhile, Morgana is using the magic of the trident to make every single person who has fins bow down to her, including Tip the penguin, who doesn't have fins, who's a bird. Yep, so Melody escapes, and she manages to get the trident away from Morgana. Because, Ariel's been fucking useless as per usual, and it took, like, an actual strong female character to sort the situation out. And she gives the trident back to her granddad, who solves the whole thing, and they is saved. Morgana is banished to a block of ice, along with a shark, who has a subplot the whole thing of wanting to be made big again by the trident. And she reunites with her family, and her granddad says, hey, you can become a mermaid forever if you like. But Melody says, nope, I'd rather you use it to blow up the wall separating her home from the sea. And, humans and mer people can live together again. And like, at the end of the first movie, everyone became aware of the existence of mer people. So I know her parents said we will never tell her about mer people, but why did no one else tell her about it? Or did someone tell her, they just didn't tell her that she was one? But then did no one tell her, like, that Ariel used to be a mer person, was blessed by, like, the king of the mer people? This is not a secret that could easily be kept, is what I'm saying. And they end with, like, a big rainbow. Hi, everyone's happy. Ah, da, 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 da. And I go and have myself a little cry. Any other thoughts on this movie before we please move on?
Oh, just move on and sake of the agony.
Yeah, it's
We're going to move on now to the movie that pretty much kicked off the Disney direct-to-DVD market. Aladdin 2: Return of Jafar.
Yep.
We couldn't get back Robin Williams, and we couldn't get back the animation budget. So I know what we'll do. Let's make the movie not really about Jafar, not really about Aladdin, but about Iago.
Go.
More Gilbert Gottfried, please. He gets 2 songs. Gilbert Gottfried gets 2 songs. Why?
I get 2 songs.
Why? Yeah, so this whole thing, Robin Williams didn't come back for this movie as opposed to the next sequel, which isn't on this list because it's actually all right. Because I think it was due to some pay issues. Like, I think he offered to be paid, like, Screen Actors Guild scale, like a drastically reduced pay, in order for him not to be heavily featured in the marketing, which he then was, because Disney are evil and will betray you given half a chance. And so
Cat's both an idiot.
Yeah, so he didn't come up for this movie, and is instead voiced by someone who tries his very best and does an okay job, but really can't compare.
It's Dan Castellaneta.
It's the voice of Homer Simpson.
Yeah. Talk about that man tries his hardest.
He really does, and he was also in, like, the Aladdin TV series as well, because a lot of these spawn TV series. And, like, he's fine for when you can't get Robin Williams or Will Smith, but that's a whole other thing. And so the film opens in the classic way, Arabian Nights, and it turns out that it's the people we're looking at are a bunch of bandits led by he's back again, Jason Alexander, voicing the character Abyss Mal. Do you get it? Do you get it? He's from the TV series. Do you get it? His name is Abyss Mal. Put them together, it's abysmal. His name is Abysmal. Do you get it? But anyway, and he's like really greedy and wants a lot of money. Aladdin shows up. He's like, I'm going to steal all of this money back from you. And escapes, and Abyss Mal does not like that at all. And he does like the one good thing Aladdin does in any of these movies. He like takes like the money and all the jewels that he stole from these people, and he tosses them into the street of Agrabah to give to all the poor people. It's like, okay, so it took you an entire movie to think about use your power to help the poorest people in the city. Great job. You could use one of your wishes to get rid of social inequality in the last movie, but no, you wish for a fucking girlfriend, you bastard. But anyway.
Redistribute the wealth.
Redistribute the wealth, yeah. Aladdin will not be part of the 1%. But and all he leaves is all he tends to take for himself is the single like jeweled rose, which he takes to Jasmine. It's Linda Larkin returning as Princess Jasmine, and Scott Weinger, I don't know if that's how you say his name, voicing Aladdin. Good for them. Good for fucking them. And
Jasmine's singing voice is the same singing voice as Anastasia.
Liz Calloway.
Yeah.
I really like that voice there. She's very good because I do like Anastasia. Shut up! I like it!
Oh, it's fucking one of my favorite movies.
Well, technically now she's a Disney princess because Fox owns Disney.
Oh, God.
No. No! It's not true! That's impossible! Anyway, and so they're loving it up in Agrabah. Meanwhile, out in the desert, Iago somehow has crawled his way out of the lamp, and it's managed to get him and the lamp attached to him out of the Cave of Wonders. But Jafar berates him one too many times, which is a stupid thing to do when he's like counting on him to set him free.
Yeah.
And Iago says, "You know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna let you drop in a well and fly away." And he goes in the song. There's a chainsaw in the background, Capers. We can't help it. It goes to the song. I'm looking.
Sorry.
And then Jafar come out with a chainsaw.
Yeah. No, I think it's a leaf blower now.
Oh, for God's
This
sake.
is my everyday.
Tell your neighbor to shut up.
It's not my neighbor. It's the groundskeepers of the campus.
Okay.
She can't help it. And so Iago sings a song about how he's looking out for himself now. Okay, you're looking out for yourself. That's great. That's good. If you're really so self-interested, why didn't you use the lamp to conjure a genie, i.e. Jafar, that could give you wishes? Like, why didn't you do that? You could have had 3 wishes and then gotten everything you ever wanted. Moron. But he encounters Aladdin, whilst Aladdin also encounters Abbas Mal and his gang, and manages to somehow, I think I blinked for a second, save Aladdin's life. And he, like, uses that to get in good with Aladdin to say, "Hey, Jafar, like, hypnotized me." A reasonably plausible excuse. And, like, secretly, I'm a good guy. I saved your life. You owe me. And because Aladdin's a sucker and makes profoundly bad decisions, he says, "Okay, fine. I'll take you back to the Sultan." And Iago's like, "The Sultan? He hates me." "Don't worry. I'll talk it over with him beforehand, smooth things over." And meanwhile, while this is happening, Abbas Mal wanders the desert, finds the lamp, and conjures Jafar, manages to waste 2 wishes almost instantaneously. In fairness, some pretty good manipulation on Jafar's part. And Jafar says, "If you help me get everything I need, because, being a genie, there's only so much I can do, I'll give you a wish that will get you everything you want. No trickery, I promise. And if you don't do it, I'll fucking kill you." Well, actually, he doesn't say he'll kill you, because court genies can't kill, and they do mention that. But he says, "You'd be surprised what you could live through," which is like the one line in this movie that keeps getting repeated. Like, everyone says, "You'd be surprised what you can live through." It's a whole thing. And so, meanwhile, back at the palace,
Saw.
Yeah, sorry.
It's Saw. It's the mission statement of the Saw movies.
Oh.
You'll be surprised what you can live through.
Oh God, yeah. So back at the palace, the Sultan announces that Aladdin is going to be his royal vizier and his most trusted advisor. And Aladdin's like, "Oh wow, well that's great, but I actually need to talk to you about something. You see, I found," and who bursts in at the wrong moment, but Iago. And it was like, "Oh shit, Iago! He helped like the evil dictator who ruined all of our lives. Like bastard, Aladdin! Why would you do such a thing?" And at this point, Aladdin should just like say, "Well, he saved my life earlier today, but he didn't because he's a moron." And so he says, and then the Sultan says, "Okay, Aladdin, I'll let Iago stay as long as you watch him 24/7, which he doesn't do, but like he says, "You must watch Iago at every moment," and there are multiple moments where Aladdin does not watch him when they're in separate places entirely. It's insane. But meanwhile, at this point, the genie comes back saying, "Hey, I saw the whole world, but it was kind of lonely, so I decided to hang out with you guys again." And somehow, like, the magical manacles he had are back, despite the fact that they disappeared in the last movie. I don't know. And apparently, because he's been freed, his magical powers have been reduced, apparently. But he mentions that, but there's no... that's not made clear later on in the movie. Like, he has all of his powers again. So, it's... I don't know. It's stupid. But, And then Iago ingratiates himself with everyone, and it was like, okay, we'll tolerate your presence. But then Jafar shows up to Iago and says, okay, Iago, you're going to do what I say now, and you're going to lead Aladdin and the Sultan far away from here. Because it's all going according to plan. Instead of just, like, poisoning Aladdin when he could. But no. He wants to get proper revenge. So, Aladdin and the Sultan go away for, like, a flying carpet bonding session to talk things out. When he does that, Jafar, Al-Basmal, and a bunch of, like, flying winged demon horse bandits swoop in and capture the Sultan, but they leave Aladdin alive. Aladdin somehow makes his way back to the palace, and he finds out that, oh no, it looks like the Sultan has been killed because we found this turban in his room slashed, and we think you killed her, despite the fact that that is very circumstantial evidence. Oh, but it turns out the person making these accusations, Jasmine, is actually Jafar in disguise, and he's got like the Sultan, the genie, Abu, the carpet, and Jasmine all locked up in the dungeon. You know, and the guards are like, oh boy, now we get to execute Aladdin. What fun. And Jim Cummings comes back voicing Razul, the guard, and you can tell he's having the time of his life.
I love Jim Cummings. He's done a lot.
Jim Cummings is one of the best human beings on the planet. This is a man who calls up sick children, sometimes even terminally ill children, as their favorite Disney characters to wish them well and speak with them as their characters. I mean, that is...
Another connection to Anastasia. He was Rasputin's singing voice.
Oh, yeah.
Jim Cummings is in all of these movies, I swear to God.
Right. But like the fact that he can go from Winnie the Pooh to Rasputin is fucking amazing.
He is amazing.
Winnie the Pooh to Robotnik.
Yeah. That too.
Oh God. And so Iago, meanwhile, this whole thing, because he's earned the trust of Aladdin, feels kind of guilty for betraying them all. And so at the last minute, he decides to switch sides. And he's just like, I'm trying to free the genie, and he manages to do so. The genie saves Aladdin just before he's executed. There's a big fight with Jafar, and they learn that, wait, the only way to destroy a genie is to destroy the lamp. And so they push the lamp. Iago, after nearly being killed by Jafar, pushes the lamp into lava, saving the day. That's right, Gilbert Gottfried Parrott saves the day in this movie. And Jafar is destroyed forever until that crossover with the Hercules TV series.
Which may or may not be canon.
Yeah, and I remember that from when I was a kid.
Oh, Jafar having a hysterical laughing bit. He's like, why are you laughing?
It's a whole thing. And so Jafar, Iago officially becomes part of the Aladdin family, and everyone's happy, and it's all great. And this is the problem with the movie. Aladdin, despite being the title character, does not get a character arc. If anything, he makes a lot of the same mistakes he made in the first movie, like lying to people and just generally being a bastard. But Iago gets a character arc. He goes from being a villain to being a good guy. But here's the thing, he's a good guy, but they managed to keep his character intact. He still acts the way he does. Like when he's freeing the genie, he's just like saying, what does it look like I'm doing? I'm trying to free the chump genie. And he's like really angry. Like, he doesn't become like, I'm a real good guy now. I love you guys. You're awesome. He's still Iago. He's still very much that character. He's just on the side of the good. And it's a fully intact character arc. And it's actually pretty well done. The problem is they gave it to the fucking parrot. And not our supposedly main characters. It's awful. And the movie ends with Aladdin refusing the offer to become the Sultan's royal vizier and says, I want to see the world with Jasmine. And Iago's like, what? I don't want to see the world. Wah, wah, wah. Leads into the TV series. It's shit. The animation is awful. The voice acting is passable, with the exception of possibly Dan Castellaneta and Gilbert Gottfried. And I will say, what's his face? Jonathan Freeman returning as Jafar, because that's like the only character he's played, and he loves playing him. He played him like he turned up like for a couple of appearances in the the stage musical as Jafar.
No, if I recall, I think he has been playing Jafar in the Broadway musical since the beginning, and he might still be playing. Yeah, he might still be there.
Yes, so credit to him. He really enjoys playing it, and he does give a very good villain laugh. So fair due to him. But everything else is awful. The writing is awful. The dialogues is awful. The song is awful. The animation is awful. This film is infamous for if you pause any scene, all the characters look weird. Like bits where all the characters' eyes are pointing in different directions, like that, like the fucking Marty Feldman or something. I don't know. Oh god, it's awful. It's fucking awful. It's fucking awful. I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about it. Fuck you, Aladdin. Fuck you, Jasmine. Fuck you, Genie. Fuck all of you. Fuck all of you. And no one liked this. No one fucking liked this.
No, not really.
And the sad thing is, the next sequel after the TV series was Aladdin and the King of Thieves, which is not perfect. It's not even that good. But you know what? It's all right. It's got a full character arc for Aladdin. I actually like him in that movie. Robin Williams is back as the genie. He's good. It's got a cool villain. Jonathan Rhys-Davies turns up as a very cool character. I won't spoil.
A cool villain with relevancy.
With relevancy. It's got all these interesting fantasy elements to it. Some really good emotional moments. Even a few songs that I kind of like. So, and it's why could we have gotten that for this? Fuck. And then we move on to, oh god, no, it's Beauty and the Beast, the Enchanted Christmas.
Oh no.
This is another one that I watched a lot of, and I think it's entirely because of
Tim Curry?
Scott, don't please put Tim Curry in a box. Leave him alone.
Oh, Tim Curry's great in this. His character is fucking stupid. So this is oh my god, this movie! No, wait, stop! This movie starts with them all human after the events of the first movie. And it's just it's Christmas time and everyone's celebrating Belle and the Beast, even though he's not a beast anymore. He doesn't have a name. He doesn't get to have a name.
Adam. His name's Adam.
Is that mentioned in the movie? Is that mentioned in the movie?
No.
Then he doesn't have a name.
I have no idea.
He doesn't have a name.
His name's Phil. We should call him Phil.
Phil, fine. Well, there's another Disney prince called Phil. We'll call him Bert.
Not Bert. Leave Bert alone.
I don't care. So, it's their first Christmas together, and Lumiere and Mrs. Potts and Cogsworth were oh, it's great to have Christmas, and it's a special time of year considering last Christmas. Oh, yes, and Cogsworth says, remember, I saved Christmas. And Lumiere's no, you didn't. I saved Christmas. And Mrs. Potts I'll tell you all who really saved Christmas. And Lumiere's now we'll find out what really happened. And I was thinking, this was last year. How can only one of you remember the events of last year, which, as we'll soon see, were pretty fucking memorable? How could you forget that? How? This is the worst idea for a framing device I have ever fucking seen. So, it cuts back to when they were all animated objects right after the Beast saved Belle from wolves in the first movie. And Belle's still a prisoner, Stockholm Syndrome hasn't quite set in yet. And Belle's very excited for Christmas, but the Beast isn't, because it's the anniversary of his spell being cast upon the castle. You see, King Triton, that's an actual reason to be gloomy and not want to celebrate something. I get that, kind of, but not really. And so, it's featured with this terrible rom-com stuff of Belle trying to teach the Beast how to ice skate, and Belle making snow angels with the Beast, and it's fucking awful. And meanwhile, in a closed-off part of the castle, there is Tim Curry plays this character called Forte, who's a CGI giant pipe organ.
He's fucking horrifying.
It's creepy as hell.
Oh, yeah, not just because he's voiced by Tim
Scared
Curry.
the shit out of me as a kid.
Yeah.
Two eyes.
Oh, he's got no eyes, and he's giant, and he's bolted to the wall of the room, so he can never leave the room. And his character arc is this. He wants to play music for the beast, because it's the only thing that gives the beast life meaning, the only thing that makes him even remotely happy. Blah, 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 blah. And he really likes it because, you know, before, when he wasn't a beast, like, he had no time for his music. So he wants to make sure that Belle and the beast never fall in love, so they never break the curse, despite the fact that you are a giant immobile pipe organ that can never leave the room. That is a nightmarish existence. Why wouldn't you want that to end? This is the weirdest motivation for anyone.
Get your kicks where you can.
Yeah, jeez. It's just like... And I think if the beast was slightly happier, like, he might be more interested in his songs, but who knows? But anyway, so he sends his sidekick, Fife, voiced by Paul Rubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman. No, I'm not kidding. To try and break them up and at least do so many shenanigans. And the reason why Fife is doing all of this, despite the fact that he's a relatively good guy, Tim Curry offers him, quote, a solo.
That's it.
Okay, I guess that's all it takes to turn someone evil. We'll give you a solo in an undisclosed part of an undisclosed concert? I don't know. This makes no sense.
Hey, if it worked in Black Swan, it work here.
Oh, God. You know, I could use... This movie could use,
More
like...
Umbrella Academy.
some stuff from Black Swan. I don't know. Anyway, and Belle decides, you know what we need? Do you know what we need? We need to bring Christmas back to the castle. And everyone's like, no, we can't bring Christmas back to the castle. And Louis is like, come on, we must bring Christmas back to the castle. And everyone's like, okay, let's bring Christmas back to the castle. I'm repeating myself because the movie repeats itself so much.
Let's go get Bernadette Peters out of the attic.
Yeah, they bring back
Yeah.
a person who's been transformed into a Christmas ornament for some reason, voiced by Bernadette Peters, who is wasted in this movie. Well, everyone's wasted.
Yeah.
They brought back, like, Robbie Benson, Paige O'Hara, Jeremy Orbach, David Ogden Steers, Angela Lansbury, Haley Joel Osment, and Frank Welker and Jeff Bennett. And it's just like, oh, God, there's so much talent here, and it's just wasted. Oh, God, of this crappy... And there's so many shit songs in this movie. So many shit, boring, forgettable songs. Like, a cut above the rest, boring. The rule of the beast and joy, shit. And it's just, oh, God. Belle makes him, the beast, a Christmas present, which is a book. And... which is a very nice thought, but when you later see the beast reading the book, it's the most horribly written book ever. It's like, there's a line in the book that says, like, Christmas that year was spelt exchanging humble gifts, but the best gift of all was the gift of hope. Or the gift of peace, or some other bullshit. Like, Belle, stick to reading books. Writing them is obviously not your forte.
Forte!
You see what I did there? And so, speaking of Forte, he says, you know, Belle, if you really want to make Christmas extra memorable for the beast, you should bring a real Christmas tree. You'll have to go into the forest to get it, but I'm not allowed to leave the castle grounds. But the beast would really like it. Well, even though you're obviously evil and voiced by Tim Curry, I'm going to believe everything you say. And so she goes out into the woods to get the Christmas tree. Meanwhile, Forte then gets the beast and uses, I guess, magic? He makes, like, magical music appear in the air. Like, he's got, like, a Green Lantern power ring or something. I don't know. And he manages to, I don't know if he's, like, convinces the beast or brainwashes him. I don't know. It's so, it just comes out of nowhere. And he sends the beast after her. The beast finds her, brings her back, and locks her up in the town and says, you broke your word never to leave. So you're going to stay in this dungeon forever. And it's just like, no, everything's sad. It's the all is lost moment. And he reads the book she was going to give him for Christmas. And, oh, God. So, like, early in the movie, he finds the present and he's about to open it. And Lumiere says, you can't open it. Why not? It's for me, isn't it? Because it's not yet Christmas. And he's like, rah, rah, rah. We all know how you feel about Christmas. But when a woman gives something to a man, she's saying, I care about you. First of all, that's a really weird message. Like, just because a woman gives something to a man doesn't mean she cares about it. That's a really bad message.
I gave a man a middle finger. Does that mean care for him?
If she gives you the middle finger, kids, that means she likes you.
Or she gives him a
Like, give you a punch or something, I don't know.
bang.
And second of all, like, I can't believe... I know he's been a beast for a while now and has gone, like, lost a few of his manners, but how come they have to explain the most basic of things to the beast? Like, it's not rocket science, beast. Open presents on Christmas, jeez. And so, Christmas rolls around, he opens the present, reads the book, goes back to Belle and says, can you ever forgive me for being an absolute bastard? Yes, of course, because, Stockholm Syndrome has now set in entirely. And then Forte's like, no, they can't fall in love if they're dead, even though the beast is my only reason for living, so I guess I'll kill him because I'm an idiot. And he uses his Green Lantern magic to try and destroy them in the castle, but Five stops him by snapping the chain, causing him to fall over, which I guess kills him.
Yeah, I seem to remember that scene. Like, he rips himself from the wall. Like, that entire scene. I just remember that gave me fucking nightmares.
So what happens when the curse breaks? It's just gonna be like this bloody mess on the floor.
Yeah, there's just a dude with his head caved in.
Well, I can't believe
the fellow down here.
It's really great that the palace is back to the way it was and we're all human again. I wonder what's in this room. Oh my god! Oh god, and he's been rotting. Oh no! And so it cuts back to the present, I guess, when Mrs. Potts saying, and so it was Belle who saved Christmas. I can't believe you all forgot that. Belle and the human beast turn up and say, Merry Christmas, everyone. Hey, Fife, even though you tried to help break us up before in the past, would you like to start this big musical moment, please? I'd be honored to. Fife music, lead into Taylor's Oldest Time remix number 23. Beast gives Belle a rose for Christmas, despite the fact that A, that's a cheap gift, and B, like, it's winter. How did you find a rose? How did you do that? And
He has a spare.
I guess like it got an indoor greenhouse or something.
Shakes. Yeah.
And that's when the movie ends, and it's horrible. It's horrible. I hate it. I hate it even more than the original Beauty and the Beast, because as much as I loathe that movie, I loathe it because it had the potential to be very good. This movie has no potential whatsoever. It is utterly awful from start to finish. There's a scene where Lumiere uses Cogsworth as a snowboard.
Clockboarding.
Ah!
Oh, this is the best movie.
Oh, and also Jeff Bennett voices an axe, who's obviously a Jewish stereotype.
Oh boy, I forgot about that one.
He actually says Happy Hanukkah at one point. It's just like
Happy
Oh
Hanukkah.
boy.
gotta
He's
grab.
going.
Like, if you're not going to give it some actual attention and actual dignity, don't even mention it, guys. Come on.
And he keeps going, oi, Gewalt.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. Not quite as awful, though, as Cinderella 2 Dreams Come True. At least Beauty and the Beast Belle's Enchanted Christmas was one whole story. This is actually 3 stories that are very little connected to them, masquerading as an entire movie, and it's shit. So it starts off with another...
Yeah, it's the same. I think it was the same issue that happened with the Atlantis sequel, is that it was supposed to be a TV show and it didn't really get what it needed to get or something like that.
Disney did that a bunch of times. They included a bunch of several disparate stories into one DVD release to try and market TV shows that either happened or didn't. And this movie starts with the mice from the first movie, Gus and Jack, trying to listen to the fairy godmother tell them the story of Cinderella, despite the fact that they were there! And they miss it. I'm like, oh no, we missed it. And everyone's like, well, here's an idea. Why didn't we tell our own story about Cinderella and make a book about it? So like, okay, fine. I guess you need a hobby. Fine. And I guess I don't know. It's never made clear if these are stories they're making up or stories that have happened to them that they're just writing down. I don't know. But they start off with 3 different stories. The first story is about privilege and how Cinderella doesn't appreciate it. As soon as they come back from the honeymoon, Cinderella and Prince Charming are accosted by the king, who say that the king and Prince Charming have to go away for some and leave Cinderella in charge. And the king's like, oh, but she knows nothing about being a princess. Oh, I know. Well, I'll leave her in charge of the royal banquet. What? So you acknowledge that she knows nothing about the princess, but then you leave her this really important job? Why would you do that? But she's going to be instructed, though. He leaves Prudence, one of her ladies-in-waiting, in charge of teaching Cinderella how to be a princess. And every single line of dialogue from Prudence is basically a variation of, oh, it's not done. Oh, it's not done. Most unorthodox. Most unorthodox. Most unorthodox. Every line. And Cinderella, meanwhile, is dissatisfied with the way some of the traditions are done. Some of them are legitimate, like some of the curtains are closed all the time, despite the fact that there's windows behind them. Like, why would you do that? I don't know. But most of the time, it's just like, oh, the food is awful. And it's just like, oh, why do we have to eat these food and stuff? And it's just like, oh, she's whining about the life of privilege and wealth she married into. It's just like, fuck off. Realize a good thing when you see it. Oh no, now I have to wear pretty dresses that look slightly ridiculous. Like, I can understand you being slightly disappointed and unenamored with the fantasy of being a princess and stuff. And in fairness, she does try to do some good things, like introduce the common folk to the palace and stuff. But it's like, it's really basic things that are obviously bad that she has to overcome. And she does with no consequences. The king immediately likes all of her changes. Prudence gets over it because she starts dancing with the butler from the last movie. Yeah. And she says, one day I think I'll get this princess thing right. And Charming says, I think that day is today. And I think, blah! And then the next segment is about Jack the Mouse, who has some difficulties being a mouse. And he constantly wants to help Cinderella do everything because he's an enabler. But he can't do it because he's a mouse. So he wishes to this fairy godmother, I want to be human. And so she makes him human. And predictably, all of his misery and misfortune comes from, like, being human. But what the real source of his misery is because people make these weird assumptions about him. Like, he's the leader of a committee from, like, Holland or something. And they don't give him a chance to correct them and tell them who he really is. And his life gets made miserable because of it. So, like, his life isn't miserable because he's human. His life is miserable because other people are making all these weird assumptions about him. It's bizarre. And so he learns a lesson, in quotation marks, and becomes a mouse again and gets together with one of the other mice. Because, you know, we really need to see that. Jeez. And then we get the third segment, which is probably the best, but it's still not good. So Anastasia, one of the Cinderella's stepsisters, falls in love with a baker, and her mum doesn't approve. And it leads to, like, all these, like, misunderstandings and hilarious meet-cute moments, one of which ends in her getting kicked by a horse and getting thrown into a shop. And I'm thinking, like, okay, so she's dead, right? She got kicked by a horse.
Killed Anastasia.
She just kicked her so hard, she was launched into a building. I know it's a cartoon, but she did. She did now. It's oh god, it's so stupid.
I remember really, I this is the only part I remember, and I really, really remember liking this section.
Yeah, it's not the bad actually, because they take time to develop her character, which they don't really do in any of the other segments, in any meaningful way at least. And Anastasia and the baker's chemistry is actually really good. They're actually really cute together. And it's all about her mum and her you can tell she's like not only fighting her mum, but also like her upbringing and like the things she's been taught over the years. And Cinderella has to teach her better. And it's actually kind of nice. It's not good, but it's not terrible either. And honestly, it's actually, the segment is probably the longest one out of all of them, and it doesn't need to be. It could be a much shorter and condensed. Like, it's an obvious setup for an obvious payoff, and it takes its sweet time getting there, but it's still pretty good. And it ends with Lady Tremaine and the other stepsister still not liking Cinderella, but Anastasia and Cinderella get on much better, and it's all right. And then it ends with the mice finishing their book, and they do remix of Bibbidi Bobbidi Boom number 47. The mice sing it, it's awful, giving the book to Cinderella, and she says, "Hey, do you want to read it together?" And the mice say yes, despite the fact that they just finished making the book, and they know everything that's in it, and they all sit down to read it together, and I hate this, I hate all of this, this is exhausting. We're nearly done, home straight. Dear God.
How many left?
3.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
This movie has Jennifer Hale as Cinderella, Christopher Daniel Barnes as Prince Charming, Rob Paulson as Jack / many other people,
and fucking everyone.
Corey Burton, Holland Taylor, Frank Welker, Trust McNeil, and some other people. And it's just like, talented people being wasted in an awful movie. Oh no! There are 3 Beauty and the Beast sequels. Beauty and the Beast. It's Beauty and the Beast. Belle's Enchanted Christmas. Belle's Magical World, and Belle's Tales of Friendship. I didn't include Belle's Tales of Friendship on this list because there's other movies I want to talk about, and frankly, there's too much Beauty and the Beast on the list already. And plus, the version of Belle's Magical World, which is what we're going to talk about now, that I watched, included a segment from Belle's Tales of Friendship called Mrs. Potts' Party, that for the special edition of this movie, because this movie deserves a special edition, released in 2003. The animation, shit. The voice acting, shit. The dialogue, utterly shit. There's several segments, again, for the movie, introducing several new characters, like a book named Webster, and a bunch of papers named, I don't know, Paper, and a quill named Nibs. I don't give a shit. I don't know. And
my God.
Yeah.
I'm looking at pictures right now. Oh boy.
It's awful. And it starts off with the first segment, The Perfect Word, where the Beast invites Belle to lunch, and he asks Lumiere advice about how to, speak to her, despite the fact that he has spoken to human beings before, I don't know. And numerous misunderstandings happen, and the Beast acts really rude, and it's just a bunch of oh God, it's the most pathetic, awful rom-com dysfunction that just go to prove how bad these two are as a couple. And it's just like, they both act so spoiled, like, I'm not going to apologise unless she apologises. I'm not going to apologise unless he apologises. And it's like, take the high road, Belle, and apologise. And so the book and his cohorts forge a letter from the Beast to Belle apologising. She goes up and apologises. The ruse is quickly discovered. And it leads to numerous misunderstandings. The Beast banishes the 3 culprits into the wild. Okay, I guess they're going to survive out there in the world as, animated objects. They're totally not going to get burned for being, like, evil, cursed voodoo objects, sure. They come back, all is forgiven, blah, blah, blah. And the really forced moral about, forgiveness. Then then it gets weird. Believe it or not, this movie gets weirder. It's the anniversary of Lumiere's first date with Fifi the Feather Duster, and he gets very nervous because in what is the only sincere part of this whole movie, Lumiere is very nervous because he's very good at eloquent words of love and vast, grand, poetic expressions, but in terms of actual romantic sincerity, he gets very nervous. And it's actually rather a very interesting part for Lumiere's character. And doesn't know how to, act with Fifi on this anniversary. So Belle coaches him, but Fifi overhears her coaching him and thinks that Belle is out to steal Lumiere, And then they're like running away together despite the fact that he's a fucking candlestick. Like, ew. I don't want to think about that. Ew. And she... And as a typical French person discovering that she's been jilted, she plots murder. So she finds out that they're going like on a sled ride. So she sabotages the thread in order to make them crash and kill both of them. This is actually in the movie, but later on it's revealed, oh no, he wasn't cheating on me. He was actually like preparing to go on the anniversary with me. Oh dear. And it ends with them dangling over the edge of a cliff, about to die. Holy shit! And Lumia finally tells her that he loves her. They save them, and everyone learns a lesson about not jumping to conclusions. I said it got weirder. It gets even weirder than that. The next one, Mrs. Potts' party that I mentioned before, it's revealed that Mrs. Potts has a genetic version, I don't know if it is genetic anyway, version of seasonal affective disorder.
What?
Where she gets depressed over bad weather, and she says, I get really gloomy when it's really, really bad weather, and so did my father and mother.
What?
I'm not making this up.
Okay. This was nominated for 2 Annie Awards, by the way. This movie.
Yes, and the special edition at least includes this story about a teapot with sad. Like, it's, oh god.
Oh,
and so to cheer her up, Belle and everyone else decide to throw a surprise party. But everyone argues about what form the party should take. Cogsworth has trouble getting the respect of people, and they're arguing over the kind of food and the kind of music. And there's a really fucking annoying chandelier who mishears things. I hate her. She's the worst part in this whole movie. And Mrs. Potts like gets sadder and sadder. But at the end of the movie, the sun comes out and she's happy again. Oh, isn't that nice? And everyone learns a lesson about the power of compromise and how, you know, maybe instead of fighting amongst yourself, you should just like be there for your friend with serious depression. And this means, do you know what this means? This means that Chip is gonna grow up with seasonal affective disorder.
Oh god.
Most likely.
That's so weird.
It is so fucking weird. Moving on to the last segment, Belle and the Beast have lunch together again, but an injured bird accidentally flies into Belle's room, and so she accidentally forgets lunch trying to fix the wing. Turns out, though, that the Beast hates birds, and so he wants to get rid of the bird. He doesn't care about it. But then he hears the bird sing, and is like, oh, it's got such a lovely song. I'm going to put it in a cage and make him sing for me. And I'm just thinking like, you are a villain. You are the villain of this entire story. You are evil, Beast. And eventually he lets it go, but still, like, you can't tell. Everyone like says, no, don't cage the little bird. It needs to heal and be free. It's like, no, I shall keep it for myself, and it shall sing for me, because... Blah, 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 blah. And eventually, it's freed, and Belle and the Beast make amends for the 100th billionth time. Like, this is such a dysfunctional relationship, guys. Like, I know there's one thing about, like, challenging each other and, like, an intense relationship, but then there's constantly arguing over small things that shouldn't really be arguments. That is a severely dysfunctional relationship, and it's really actually worrying and problematic that they fall in love. I'm not kidding around when I say it's a prelude to a potentially abusive relationship. I don't think I'm out of line by saying that.
Nah.
And that's the whole thing, and that's the story, and they got back all the characters. They got back Paige of Hara, Robbie Benson, David Ogden Stiers. They didn't get back Angela Lansbury. She's replaced by Anne Rogers.
He's not there.
Jeremy Orbach's there, and they got lots of other people. They got Jim Cummings, Jeff Bennett, Rob Paulson, again, April Winchell, who's been lots of other people, and it got 17% on Rotten Tomatoes. It deserves a 0. Moving on. Oh no! So, this is the shortest. This next one, we're almost done, is the shortest one out of all the Disney direct-to-DVD ones, at least what I'm aware of, at 53 minutes. It's called Disney Princess Enchanted Tales Follow Your Dreams.
Oof.
It
sounds like the title of like one of those really weird CG YouTube videos that you like catch your kid watching at like 3 p.m. because you didn't turn off autoplay on YouTube.
It's really bad. It's only 2 stories, not 3, featuring 2 completely different characters. One segment featuring Princess Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, and one featuring Princess Jasmine. God. And this is apparently like...
What?
This is intended to be the first in a series of either movies or TV shows or short films about the various Disney princesses from the Disney Princess canon. And like, it's all told from like a book with like this weird narrator who comes out of nowhere. I don't know who she is, but oh god. And possibly Tress McNeil, I can't tell. And it starts in the creepiest way possible. Like okay, so the book, like you see like images of other Disney princesses, like you see Mulan briefly, and it goes straight to the Sleeping Beauty segment, and we're introduced to Princess Aurora, who addresses the audience directly in some of the worst dialogue, like, "Hi, I'm Princess Aurora. I didn't see you there. I learned the value of persistence in this story, which I'm telling you right now." And it's just, it's some of the worst dialogue I've ever seen in my fucking life. And so it picks up where Sleeping Beauty left off. Prince Philip, the king, the queen, and the other king have left the kingdom for a couple of days and are leaving Princess Aurora in charge, just like the Cinderella movie, fuck. And just leaving her with the 3 good fairies. But Aurora says, like, "Don't worry, fairies, I don't need your help because I can handle this on my own. If I just work really hard, I can achieve anything." And you could tell me saying it doesn't really... It sounds like I'm making fun of it and, like, exaggerating the terrible dialogue, but I'm not. That's how they talk. They talk in this really dreamy, pathetic, very preschool-esque way. Like, really hammering home the message in the most clunky way possible. Fine for tiny little toddlers. For anyone who's over the age of 5, it's a chore to listen to.
The last movie was nominated for 2 Annie Awards. This one won.
Maybe because of the animation. The animation is actually
One
pretty good.
for music.
Oh, but the music is the worst part.
It won music.
The music is the worst part. There's some terrible songs. I'll speak about my least favourite one in a second. So Aurora has to organise lots of stuff for planning banquets and dealing with peasants, and there's lots of forms to sign. And she's got to sign the forms, and the Duke who's in charge of everything, who's supposed to be assisting her, says like, "You've got to sign all these forms quickly." And she's like, "Well, I've got to read them first." "You can't read them, that would take ages." And she's like, No, I have to read everything I sign." It's like, okay, fine. And she starts signing them really fucking slowly and reading them really fucking slowly. Meanwhile, the Duke is trying to make sure the papers are organised, and he is like diving out of windows and getting crushed by bookcases.
What?
And she doesn't notice. She's in the same room with him. He's going through like the worst physical trauma of his life, not to mention the mental trauma and the anxiety. And she doesn't even notice. She doesn't even look up from signing her forms. It's insane. And she's dealing with that, and there's a lot of stuff to do, and she's starting to feel the strain a bit. So one of the fairies, Merriweather, says, "Look, I really shouldn't do this, but here's my magic wand. If things get too hard, use my magic wand. Just make sure you're very specific about what you ask for." And Aurora's like, "Don't worry, I won't need my magic wand." And so she does all the forms using persistence and perseverance, and goes to bed, tests out the magic wand to give her a fancy dress, despite the fact she's about to go to sleep. I don't know. And then the next day, she's got to deal with all the peasants who've got various grievances. And she deals with that, until it gets to the very end of the day. And it's like, "Hey, so, like, all my livestock have died and shit, and everything's gone terribly wrong. Please help me." She's like, "I will. Could we, like, help him, Duke?" And the Duke's like, "Yes, we could, but we've run out of forms. I'll need to get more forms." And so Aurora was like, okay, fine. Oh, God, you know what? I said I wouldn't do it, but all right. I'm going to use my magic to get this guy some livestock. She's like, I'm going to get you some really small chickens. But the then conjures like a million tiny baby chickens. She says, no, I need big chickens. She conjures massive chickens. No. I just need regular-sized, like, pigs. She conjures lots of pigs that are green. Then she conjures lots of cows. Then she turns the farm into something else. Just like, the fairy told you to be specific. So just be specific. She keeps panicking and making the situation worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's insane. And she eventually fixes everything, gets rid of all the livestock, and solves the problem of her own. And she bookends the story, speaking to the audience again by saying, see, with hard work and persistence, everything paid off. Okay, great. You hammered in that moral perfectly fine. Well done. Next segment, called More Than a Peacock Princess, is a story focusing on Princess Jasmine, featuring a returning Linda Larkin, who actually doesn't sound very much like a character. She sounds very weird, but anyway. And she's tired and bored of her princess duties, which include modelling for camels like it's a car show.
What?
I'm not making this up.
Okay.
How does that work?
I don't know. Like, apparently that's a royal duty. It makes no sense. And she sings a song about how she doesn't want to be a peacock princess. And it's the worst song I have ever heard in my life. It's sung perfectly fine by Leah Salonga again. But Iago's in this as well. And Gilbert Gottfried sings in this again. So that's 3 songs he's got.
Oh,
3.
no.
I'm glad they got him back for this. And she says, I want more, like, responsibilities to her dad. And her dad's like, okay, fine. You could teach at the local, like, academy. And she's like, okay, great. And it turns out, like, all the children are actual, little shits. And she's like, oh, I just need to try harder. And then I realised, oh my God, it's the exact same moral as the last segment. They're literally telling the same story again with different characters. Oh my fucking God. And then the whole teaching at the local academy thing is dropped entirely when it's revealed that the Sultan has this horse called Sahara, whom his late wife was the only one who could ride. But Sahara goes missing. And so Jasmine, Iago, and Abu have to figure out where he went. They find him. She gets on his back and manages to tame him and ride him back to the palace and present him to the Sultan, and everything's fine. And she bookends the story again the same way as Aurora by saying, so with hard work and perseverance, I managed to save the day. And this movie makes me want to give myself a concussion. I hate it.
Clearly no hard work and perseverance was put into this movie.
Clearly, yeah. It's the same tired cliches hammered into us twice. There's like 2, 25-minute stories that are the exact same story. And, it's good to teach kids about hard work and perseverance, but there's got to be better ways to do it than actively spelling it out for them, because even little kids aren't stupid. And
it's also similar to the story in the Cinderella one too, where she has to do the banquet.
Exactly, it's exactly the same. Oh God, and you know how bad this movie is? You know how bad it is? Mary Costa, the original voice of Aurora, apparently did not like the movie. And has publicly said she felt that the movie did not work. That's how bad it is.
She went against the god of Disney.
Well, because think about it, because there are so few Aurora stories out there. Of all the spin-off Disney Princess media, Aurora is featured possibly the least, because she's the most boring character in the world. She does nothing.
I mean, yeah, I think that that movie's gorgeous. They probably should have done more with it, but I actually don't know why they didn't. Maybe
they said, okay, we could put the budget towards. They said, okay.
Sleeping Princess.
I don't know. They said we could either put the budget towards the animation or the screenwriter. They picked animation.
Yeah.
And now we come to the last movie. Now, this, technically speaking, did get a theatrical release, but it was done by the Walt Disney Television Animation. There's a lot of stuff that make it a direct-to-DVD sequel in some areas. I feel justified about talking about it. And I've talked about it before. I have mentioned it on a previous Dirty Disney Dozen, but I just want to talk about it again because fuck this movie. Fuck this movie. I'm, of course, talking about Peter Pan 2, Return to Neverland. Now,
oh, jeez.
Fasten your seatbelt.
The middle part of this movie is alright. Jane, the daughter of Wendy, goes to Neverland and gets into scrapes with Peter Pan, the Lost Boys, and Captain Hook. The only bad thing about it is the crocodile has been replaced with an octopus for no fucking reason, and the octopus, like, pops its tentacles. It's weird. It's stupid. The bad thing about the movie is the beginning and the ending. Because this movie takes place...
Oh, right. Oh, my God. This movie was in some repressed part of my brain. Holy shit.
This movie, as Alex has just now horrifyingly realised, takes place in World War II during the London Blitz.
Yep. Oh, my God. I remember this movie having such a dark opening, and I couldn't remember why, and now I do.
Now, I am not adverse to a kids' movie being set during World War II. Many kids' movies have been set in the time. Nanny McPhee, The Big Bang, Disney have done it in Bedknobs and Broomsticks. There are ways you can do it. But maybe you need to approach the London Blitz, where hundreds of civilians died, with a bit of sensitivity. Do they do that? No.
Nope.
Because the premise of this movie, the overall message of this movie is this. The previous movie's message was, like, everyone has to grow up at some point, and that's okay, except for Peter Pan, because he gets, like, a get-out-of-jail-free card. But the message of this movie is they reversed it with don't grow up too fast, which is a good message to give to kids. Like, don't be in a hurry to grow up, enjoy your youth, the maturity will happen naturally, and you shouldn't force it. That's a very good message. It is not a good message in a movie where children had to grow up pretty fast because they were living in an active war zone. They had... Like, Jane is very serious because, you know, every night could be her last. And her little brother's like, you used to be fun. And that was, she says, yeah, that was before the Nazis thought it was a good idea to try and blow us up. You little shit. It's just like, oh my fucking God. Like, this really actually makes me genuinely angry. I've gone around about this before. I'm going to go on again. I don't care if I'm basically repeating myself. It deserves repeating because this movie, actually, I find insulting on numerous levels. It's the first level of insulting. It's insulting against my country that was devastated during World War II. This is made by Americans, no offense, Alex, who I think don't quite get the devastation that Europe suffered during this time.
They don't even get the devastation that, like, American, like, they'll exploit fucking anything, like.
They'll exploit fucking anything, and they exploit our national tragedy for entertainment in the worst possible way. I find it insulting on a familial level because my grandfather was evacuated. For those of you who don't know, maybe don't have a history lesson, Alex, you may have heard of this, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was in major metropolitan areas. It was deemed too dangerous for children to live there, so they were carted off either to family or complete strangers in the countryside so they wouldn't die.
It's the plot of Narnia.
It's the exact same plot in Narnia. Many children did die because they stayed. Many children left, came back, and found that their homes, schools, and neighborhoods were destroyed. Many came back and found that their family members, their older brothers and sisters, their dads, their mums, uncles and aunts, and grandparents were dead. I remember my grandfather once telling me about how he was very, very young when it happened, but he remembers it very clearly because it's a scary time for any child to live through. He remembers his father coming back home unexpectedly and telling his mum, pack a couple of suitcases, we're leaving right now. And him getting shipped off with his brothers and sisters, with his mum, thankfully his mum was able to go with him, to the countryside where they stayed for a little while before going back to their home. My grandmother remembers the war, but was not evacuated. I'm just thinking, like, how scary for a little kid to go through that. Thinking, like, we have to leave our home, because if we don't, there's a very good chance we will not live. How dare you, Disney, insult my grandfather?
50 years and we'll get a
Yeah, it's like, this is insulting, not just like on a general sense, but it's insulting to my grandfather. I'm not insulting this on a personal level, because this did not happen to me. I am very lucky that the place where I live and the time I lived means that I have not lived in an active war zone ever. So I'm very lucky and very grateful for that. So I'm not insulted on a personal level, because I can't be. But I am insulted on the behalf of my grandfather, and if my grandfather saw this, without speaking for him, I think he would be insulted. It plays very glibly with this thing that threatened his life, because that was the stakes. He could have died. And on the third level of insulting, is insulting to every child that has ever or is currently lived through a war zone. There are Syrian refugees right now who have lost everything. Their homes, their family members, their livelihoods, a place in the world. They don't have a penny to their name because it's all been destroyed and taken away from them. And this movie has the gall to say to its character, its main character, who lives in a war zone not too dissimilar from that, hey, don't grow up too quickly. How fucking dare you? How dare you peddle that insulting, condescending message? Because no one would have the gall to walk up to a little kid, maybe from either from Syria or the Middle East, or who has lived in the streets in Asia, or who is part of the migrant caravan coming up from South and Central America, and say, hey, I know this awful thing happened to you and you don't know what the future's going to hold, but don't grow up too fast. Fuck you! This is the most insulting thing I have ever seen in my entire fucking life, and it's wrapped up in a movie for kids. It takes a potentially decent storyline and ruins it with this condescending, infantile, utterly reprehensible message that is though possibly one of the most insulting things. I'm not saying it's the most insulting thing, because, you know, racism, sexism, homophobia, blah, 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 that Disney have ever done. I condemn this movie to the lowest pits of Tartarus, and may God have mercy on everyone who worked on it.
Yeah, give it a couple years and we'll get an animated 9/11 movie from Disney.
Yeah, because if they thought that this was appropriate, why wouldn't they think that was appropriate? And like, it's so weird because like that message of the movie is so present in the movie, but the Blitz stuff is the smallest part of the movie. It's only the very beginning and very end. Most of the movie takes place in Neverland. And the Neverland stuff is good and fun and kind of funny. But when you think about that, this is the message that they're trying to send. And she has to go back, remember? She goes back to the Blitz, to the bombs raining down by the fucking Nazis every night, wandering, having to take shelter in her back garden with her mum and a younger brother. And I don't know how long it would take for reality to sink in and wait, and for her to realise, oh wait, like, I could die. She could die, Disney. Fuck. This is why... Sorry, yeah, please.
Right, I'm probably going to make it worse for you. What I don't understand is, the whole of the UK was told to start evacuating children and families in 1939, and the Blitz happened in 1940. So why isn't Wendy halfway across the country by now?
Yeah,
like exactly.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Like, this movie would be fine if well, it wouldn't be fine. It would be better, in quotation marks, if she had been evacuated with her brother. Jane had been evacuated, possibly with Wendy, possibly not. And because then it's like, okay, you're in a safer scenario. But even then, she'd be in an unfamiliar place, possibly with unfamiliar people, not knowing if her parents will survive, or if she will even have a home to go back to. So even then, that would still be insulting. Because there's bad movies,
what?
and then there's this. It's
Still there. I don't understand it. Why are Jane and what's the dog called? Nana, I should know that, running around wearing the war helmets through the middle of a barracks?
She's wearing a helmet to protect her head,
The
her
dog's
skull.
wearing a helmet.
Both of them are wearing their helmet to protect their skulls from potential shrapnel caused
They
by
shouldn't
blonde.
be wearing helmets. They shouldn't be in London. They should be in the countryside.
So not only is it insulting, it's also historically inaccurate. Like, there were some children who stayed behind, but like, it was the law. They were required to leave. And like, she's out in public in some places, so I don't know how they got away with it. It's so bad. It's so bad.
And again.
And then to top it all off, the cherry on top of the shit sundae that is this movie, Catherine Beaumont, the original voice of Wendy, recorded all of her dialogue for the movie, but they got Kath Soucie to replace her. No offense to Kath Soucie, but if you're not going to include her dialogue, why even get this actor back at all? You bastards. You utter, unbelievable, evil bastards. This is why I hate Disney.
You get her back for Kingdom Hearts, but when you do a Peter Pan sequel, they nope, sorry, she's too old now. Let's replace her with someone else.
And so, yeah, that's Scott's Dirty Disney Dozen Part 3. There are even more bad direct-to-DVD Disney movies we can talk about. We'll have to wait for next year. There are even more Disney movies to talk about after we've done that. I want to tackle the live-action remakes. Fucking hell.
Yes,
Oh boy, has there
grab your
been?
I
I don't think there's been 13 of them yet.
By 2 years from now, there probably will be.
Grab your
Right,
pitchforks.
that's true.
Oh, God. But, so, Alex, what was your reaction to all of this dreck?
I don't know. Like, I mean, none of them were really like, oh, these sweet movies that I remember from my childhood that I loved so much. The 3 movies that I watched like religiously over and over again was Aladdin, King of Thieves, Pocahontas 2, and Hunchback 2. And the only 3 things that I can like think of that are similar in those movies is that they all have brown girls in them. And that's probably the reason why I was so excited about that a little bit. But like, it's the fact that I have to go there into those pits of bad for somewhat representation. I feel so sorry for little Alex.
And that's the thing, see, Disney go on about representation. They have made strides recent years with some representation of certain people. But as I said, every time they take a step forward, they take a step back. And it's so frustrating. Give Elsa a girlfriend. Give us a feature-length animated film that features, you know, someone who is gay, not white, and can't sing, but can rap. Give us that. Give us that right now. Mark.
Just give us a Disney Hamilton.
Yes, please. Do that. I would love to see that. Oh, God. Mark,
Yes.
being the Disney fanatic that you are, what's your reaction to all of this utter tripe?
Not going to deny that most of them suck.
Thank you.
Because obviously this was the time when videos. So first they released all the classics on video, and then they said, right, so how do we make more money? And Michael Eisner said, oh, I know, let's start making sequels and bringing back all
God, I hate Michael Eisner.
We both have a thing for him. So they bring back all these things in the videos, but look how cheap they are, because sometimes you get a diamond in the rough. Like, I don't know, Bambi 2, or Lilo and Stitch 2, or Cinderella 3, or, depending on how your opinion is, The Lion King 2. And then you have all this stupid, cheaply made, budgeted, clogged up, give me a good word.
Shit.
Well, no, we need something bigger than shit. How about,
Clusterfuck.
how about...
Astronomically bad.
How about clogged up with this meteorite
Sludge.
of fuck?
That will do nicely. So, because occasionally, like I said, you get something that's that's because none of them are brilliant. They're not that level, apart from Bambi 2, that's just me. But it's like, how do they come up with this stuff?
It is.
Why do they come up with this? It's money, purely to make money. It's done on the lowest budget possible. Really, with Disney's reputation, how much people love their better, if not done this stuff at all.
I mean, this is Disney's approach. They always take either good ideas and grind them into shit, or start with nothing and just say, we'll slap our most brand recognition-est characters in there, and we'll shit out something, and people will buy it, because
that's what they're doing now.
Disney is not a mark of quality. Disney is a brand of recognition. That's it. It's like people see Disney and they assume that it must be good, or it's something that's worth watching. And the truth is, Capers, it's not. Some of it is, but just that's not because it's Disney. And a lot of times, that's in spite of the fact that it's Disney. This is why,
the brand on it.
Yeah, this is why I talk about it. So that you can act critically and judge these movies for yourself and forget the fact that it's made by the House of Mouse. Because they are just a studio like any other. And any other studio, if they had this many bad films, will be judged severely. Lionsgate does not get this kind of preferential treatment. It's awful. It's awful. But thankfully, I'm surrounded by good friends to help me through the misery. Watching the films, awful cartoons, it is so traumatic, gives me nightmares. Ruins your perfectly good afternoons with utter bullshit.
Oh, Scott, will you cool it?
Stories so bad that they make me sick. Animation that was done pretty quick, just made for cash, and so slapdash a piss poor attempt.
It's earned our contempt.
It's Mark, Alex, and fucking Scott with the dirty Disney dozen. It's Mark, Alex, and fucking Scott with the dirty Disney dozen. We're full of hate, but we'll wait for the sequel to Frozen.
Pull out the crap.
It's not a lot.
For Mark, Alex, and fucking Scott. Don't you dare try to make schlock around us!
If you do, we'll put us quite a fuss.
It makes me angry.
Me a tap ticked off.
Me and much rather watch a film with Hasselhoff.
We won't tolerate any dullness. Women that are more than a damn dress. Personality, LGBT representation.
Right now, please.
Action!
It's Mark, Alex, and fucking Scott with a dirty Disney dozen. It's Mark, Alex, and fucking Scott with a dirty Disney dozen. Call out the crap.
It's not a lot.
Mark,
Alex,
I fucking Scott.
we're done this year once again. The dirty Disney dozen. And on that note, I think we're going to end the show. Thank you very much, Alex and Mark, for joining me. This has been exhausting.
Yep, sure have.
Next week, we're in the end game.
And if you enjoy the show, Capers, please tell your friends. Shout it from the rooftops. And if you haven't already, go back and listen to some other super episodes, like our other Dirty Disney Dozen episodes. You can listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Spotify, or at podcapers.com. We have a Patreon. Check out the rewards, patreon.com/AP2HYC. If you want to get in touch with us, suggest show topics, or maybe come on the show yourself, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at AP2HYC, or email us at podcapers@AP2HYC.com. Thank you very much to Dan Harris for our logo, the lovely microphone, the red and blue 3D glasses, those are mine. And thank you for listening. This has been Podcapers, the official podcast of a place to hang your cape. Cue the music!